Testing, testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. All right, everyone, we are live and welcome back to another Friday night live stream here at Christ Center Ironworks. Glad to have you all in the house this evening, or in the shop, I should say, huh?
Yes, that's correct.
And so we're going to do a real quick, audio and camera check here, make sure everything's doing very well. Jessica, go to camera number 2, our anvil cam. Hopefully we're there. Looking good. Go back up to camera number 1. Hopefully we are there. Looking good there, hopefully. And hopefully all that's syncing up and doing well. So I've got a billet already heating up here, our hammer billet. We're going to get back to working on that wrought iron hammer in this live stream. So the goal for this evening is I'm actually going to try to draw down the peen of the hammer before I cut it off the bar stock, because it's a lot easier to remove material or the amount of mass that we need to remove on the face while we still have a bar to hold on to work on the peen of this actual hammer. So we're going to leave it on the actual piece of bar stock that I welded onto the face to begin with, and start working that down today. And maybe we might even get the peen welded in there this evening, but we'll have to see how it goes. During this live stream, we're also going to be giving away a lot of stuff. So the first live stream that we do every month is always our main forging live stream, and we work really hard at that, just doing nothing but forging. And then the second live stream of every single month that we put out and produce, which again, they're every other Friday, we are doing giveaways. So we do a bunch of giveaways in this stream. And of that one giveaway, of course, it is the year of the Swage, or the year of the Swage block. And so, Jessica, can you go to the B-roll of that?
Sure can.
That'd be good. That way I don't have to remove my one there. But we will be giving away one Holland Anvil Swage block, brought to you by Holland Anvil. They helped us out this year and helped us to be able to purchase 12 of them this year to give away in the live stream here. So be sure to stick around for your chance to win at that. And on top of that, we are going to be giving away a lot of great door prizes. Obviously, the Swage block, that's the main deal, the main drawing, but the door prizes are pretty cool too. So let's go to camera number 2, Jess.
Okay.
And one of those is from Wiley Rook Blade Works. We're going to be giving away another one of these Kiridashis. This time it's got a little can opener on the back end of it there. Little multi-tool, comes with a Kydex sheath. We're going to be giving one of those away. We're going to be giving away 2 separate. Might as well just hold them out separate here, so you guys can see what you're getting. Rose blink kits. So these you can find over at our website, blacksmithpdfs.com. I'm sure Jessica has a link to that in the description down below.
Sure do.
We are now making flower blanks, and everything that you see here we have in stock. So if you want to go pick yourself some of those up, if you don't win, we always greatly appreciate it. It goes to help support the channel around here and what we do. So we'll be giving 2 separate packs of those away, of the rose blanks that we sell. We're also going to be giving away 2 separate daisy packs away. Those will go kind of like this. We're going to give 2 blank packs of that away for the daisy blanks, 2 trillium blanks away, and then finally 2 iris blanks away. That ends up making irises. So pretty cool stuff. Hopefully we'll be doing that here very shortly after we get a little bit of work done. So who do all we have this evening, Jess?
All right, we have quite a few people joining us already.
Awesome.
First, I'll thank Stephen Watkins for the $5 super chat. He says, Minion Smithy says, happy Friday to you all.
Thank you, Stephen Watkins. Greatly appreciate that. And happy Friday to you as well.
We have Anvil and Fly Forge, Redbeard's Forge.
Hello, everybody.
Joe Tanis, Insanity Forge, Granddad's Forge, Shamrock's Forge.
Hey.
Tobacco Free Catfish. Yeah, we remember you.
Yep. We remember your name. How could we forget?
Dana Maggiore says, did I win? Did I win? Did I win?
You know what? I should have said this also. We're going to give away some sticker packs too with the year of the Swage block. And I forgot to bring them over here.
Oh.
Oh. Keep that heating up there.
We also have Chris Walker, Jeff Killian.
Hello.
Rotten Art by DK, Robert Lannis.
Hey, good to have everybody in here. So a lot of familiar faces and familiar names. Good to hear it.
See, Zach Sewell says, how is everyone doing today? We are doing good.
Yeah, we're doing good, all things considering. So we actually had a little kerfluffle there just before the stream. We came back from we came back from the store. Got back from the hardware store. Had to go get some lumber today, and when we come back, it looked like somebody had a car wreck in our driveway, and they did. They had a car wreck with a tree in our driveway, and so there were some bits and pieces of their vehicle, the FedEx vehicle, I should say, that apparently decided they tried to drive under our low limbs, and they didn't make it. So they snapped out some limbs and left some bits and pieces of the vehicle in the tree and other stuff like that. So we had to get that taken care of and get that reported before we hopped on here and went live. So we're a little bit tardy. That is why this evening.
Christopher Fay says, what is Roy working on this evening?
Well, Christopher, we are working on, I'll repeat it for everybody who's just coming in, we are continuing to work on a wrought iron hammer. Now we got a billet welded up, we've got faces prepped to be welded onto the wrought iron hammer, and now what I'll be working on this evening specifically is drawing out the peen of the wrought iron hammer in preparation for the weld, to weld on the actual peen of the hammer, the high carbon steel bit for it. So that's what we will be working on this evening.
Bar Unforged says, how's my younger brother Roy doing?
T-Roy, good to have you in the house, sir.
Coffee Table says, rough and rusty sculptures from Rochester, New York. God bless y'all.
God bless you. Good to have you here. Good to have you here. All the way from northern Michigan.
Someone said it was snowing in Maine.
Oh yeah? Snowing right now, huh? We got a little snow there a day and a half ago, I think. 2 evenings back. It was rain all day and then snow.
Yep.
Right at night. And they're forecasting snow Tuesday evening of next week. They're forecasting to have snow yet. So, pretty interesting stuff. So, some of you may have seen in the back, I don't know how well it shows up, the sign is completely finished. If you haven't seen it on Instagram or the various other social media places that it's been shown off at, does that help it a little bit?
A little bit, yeah.
Take off a little bit of the shine. Turn off another light. Get dark, maybe a little. Does that help it?
That second one didn't help as much.
No?
It's about the same.
Is there enough contrast though?
Yeah.
Can they see it good? So, yeah, so pretty proud of that. Got the BAM sign done. Looking forward to going and demonstrating that there at the end of the month at the BAM conference in Sedalia, Missouri. If you're going to be in the area, you should look me up. What else?
Yep. I was popping up the little mention of where the dates are for the BAM conference.
Yeah, so Jessica has all your dates and all that laid out there on the computer, I imagine. Yeah?
I sure do.
Good.
Yep.
So that shows all the events, all the things that are going on, workshops, whatnots, all that good stuff. That's upcoming.
Yes, sir. And
next
month
year.
as well is a class coming up.
What's that?
Bowl making class as well next month.
Yep, got a bowl making class next month coming up at the end of May, where we'll be focusing on all sorts of different shapes and styles of bowls and vessels. That's going to be a fun class.
Let's see, Renee Mills Mistretta asked earlier if you have a recommendation on a drill press. She's talking about getting one.
Recommendation on a drill press. Probably not. Just one of the more popular brands that you normally see out there recommended for drill presses. I couldn't say that I would know better than any of the other, most mentioned. You got the Winds out there. You've got the, obviously, like mine is a Harbor Freight drill press, one of the big ones, one of the big Harbor Freight drill presses that it had. Of course, I was just buying on price, not necessarily quality, but that's been in my shop now for
quite a while.
Quite a while.
6 years at least, I think.
Yeah, what, 5-6 years at least?
Yeah.
So it's held up reasonably well in that amount of time. Of course, there's always the really nice drill presses like Jet out there that you can get, and all the other different makers. So I really don't have too much of a recommendation I can give on that. Anything that'll drill a hole, garage sale fine included.
Thank you, John Doby, for the $5 super chat. He says,
thank you.
Thanks for all the lessons. I've learned quite a bit from them.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, that's what I'm here for. I'm glad you're learning. If you're new here, you're just stopping in for the first time, like to invite you to subscribe. We do these live streams every 2 weeks usually, unless there's like 5 weeks in a month, then we might skip one, or sometimes we might even do an extra live stream in a month. But usually we do 2 live streams a month. Jessica puts the schedule in the description every time, and a little link that you can click on to go over and set your bell notification for the next live stream. So you'll definitely want to do that. And it also helps if you subscribe and hit the little bell notification and set it for all notifications if you actually want to get our content. That's the only way you're going to get our content and be able to be notified when we go live. So you'll definitely want to do that. We got over 1,500 videos coming up, actually on 1,550 videos here on YouTube, and the majority of those are all tutorials. So even, I guarantee you, even my longtime viewers, there's some tutorials in there you probably haven't seen. So just the way YouTube works, they don't, even though you say I want to know every time this guy puts out a video, they don't necessarily show you all the content from your favorite creators. They don't. Sometimes I've gotten notifications months after I watched a video from somebody I follow. I won't get their notification for months after. So it's kind of a failed system, a little bit broken. They're working on it over there at YouTube. So the easiest thing is be an adult and set it on your calendar.
That's right.
Set a personal reminder on your smartphone.
Tabaka Maker is turning 54 today, celebrating his birthday.
Congratulations. Happy birthday, Tabaka Maker.
K. Derek Goodwin says, and a few Roy rants.
Oh, plenty of Roy rants. Yeah, there's those on there. Some I'm proud of, some I'm not so proud of. But hey, you get a little bit of all of me.
Jordan Ingblom says, finally able to catch a live stream, and I'm also in the forge today.
Awesome. Glad to have you here.
Me Lord says, for sure, if I want to learn something, I come straight to your channel.
You honor me, sir, with those nice words. All right. Well, while this was almost to where it needed to be in heat, and then I turned it down a little bit just so this way I could do the whole intro. And yeah, it's taking a lot of time to get back up to where I want it to be. The deal with this is I'm burning coke. I'm burning coke in the forge, and coke really likes to pack together once it's down in there, down in the shaped fire pot that I have, and so it restricts some of the airflow that comes up through. when it comes through there, especially once you set something heavy on it, like a 4-pound hammer billet. It kind of packs it down, and you'll see me keep prying it up from time to time to get the air up through it to get it up to heat. So once it does get up to heat, and you've got the coke all the way up to a welding heat, you can stick something in there and it'll be hot in a couple minutes, you know, but until then, yeah, it doesn't work. You really got to work to keep the heat and the air into it. And once you've got all that established really good, you've got a great fire. So we're still getting that established. So get to the point, Roy. My point is we're going to give away our first rose blank pack.
All right.
That's what we're going to do while we wait, because while I'm running my mouth, we might as well do some giveaways up front. How's that sound?
Yep.
Yeah?
And a quick thank you, Holy Hammer Ironworks, for a $5 super chat. It says, finally made a live stream.
Thank you, Holy Hammer Ironworks. Greatly appreciate that for that $5 super chat. Keeps a small channel like ours continuing to grow. And I know I'll catch some flack on that, but trust me, we are but a baby fish. We are but a minnow in a very large ocean. Very large ocean. So I think they call that, what is it now? I think we are still considered a macro channel. A micro channel, I can't remember, I always get it messed up. Micro, macro, one's smaller than the other one. I'm pretty sure it's macro is the smaller of the two. Micro is slightly larger. It could be wrong. Anyways, macro is from about 100,000 subs up to 1 million. A micro channel is from 1 million subs up to like 10 million. And then you start finally getting up into the regular boy subs up there. So it's like, we're not even a macro sub.
When they switch over to mega?
Yeah, we're plankton.
Yeah.
We're plankton, basically. That's where we're at. So we're not even minnows. We kid ourselves. We like to call ourselves minnows, but we clearly are not. So, all right. So for those of you that know how this goes, you've heard this before. Those of you who don't, I'll explain it real quick. Nothing you have to do to enter other than enter a comment. You just have to say, hello. Try to include something with roses in your comment. That would be great. And then we will give away a rose blank kit to one lucky winner. When I'm done ringing the anvil like this, when I come to a stop, Jessica picks a name at random, right?
Yep.
Now, all the door prizes,
Worldwide.
they're open to anybody across the entire world. We'll ship them out worldwide. It doesn't matter where you're at. We'll ship them to you. And the Swage block, it is only to the whatever,
Yeah,
50
US
states,
and Puerto Rico.
right? USA and Puerto Rico, apparently. So
Yep.
that's what the wise sage tells me over there.
The wife sage or
The wife sage, yep.
Okay.
All right, we ready?
Yep.
Let's go. Who do we have?
We have Dave Varner with Rose Blank, please.
Dave who?
Dave Varner.
Dave Varner? Congratulations, you won the rose blank, sir. You need to get with us through the contact email in the description, and we will get these shipped out to you pronto. Oh, while we're at, we're going to do one daisy blank.
All right.
Okay? And we are almost there on that. I'm ready to hammer, so things come up to heat now finally. So we're going to do a daisy blank. You got camera number 2?
We are now. There we go.
There. We'll give away a daisy blank set. And ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1, go. Who do we got?
We have Chris Walker with Daisy.
Hey, Chris Walker. Congratulations. Get with us through the contact email in the description, and we will get that shipped out to you, sir. All right. Enough of all that. We're going to go to the anvil cam, Jess, and I'm going to start drawing this down.
All right.
Okay?
Go for it.
All right. It looks way hotter on camera than what it is right now. It's back down to an orange in color. Making sure I'm doing it in the right direction. It appears that I am. Good. All right, we'll get that hot again.
Speargrass said he did the research and you're one of the top 10 blacksmithing channels in sub size.
Really? Well, there you go. Is that a personal choice or is that actual?
Right, like just type in blacksmith channels. I don't know.
That's
How did
interesting.
you research it? Tobacco Maker says the gilded sign bracket looked amazing on Instagram.
Well, thank you. I thought it looked pretty slick myself. I'm actually going to darken out camera number 2.
Okay.
Just so this way we don't look like we're staring into the face of the good Lord Almighty there. When we come out. Sound all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
County
It's going to
line.
look a lot darker on camera number 2, but I need to give it some shades there. Because these are not standard forging heats. They're like a welding heat every time. So.
Yep. Me Lord says, is it just me or is hot metal a beautiful color?
It is a beautiful color. It's got a whole gamut of beautiful colors that I like.
Colin says, I think that's a serious hunk of iron to work by hand.
Yeah, it's pretty big. It's not too bad. Wrought iron makes you feel like a real champ. It does. Wrought iron, you can hit it and it just mushes under the hammer. So it's real nice. Obviously, I could be swinging a little bigger hammer on it. Would be okay. Could do that too. And it, you know, it would actually forge out maybe a little quicker on that end of things. But it's not really needed. The biggest thing I don't like seeing guys do is, you know, going right to a large, gigantic hammer, sledgehammer, and try to bypass time with extra labor. It's a good way of getting injuries done. So if you want to strike out your arm before you're an old man, that's the way you do it. Swing big hammers. But you want to do, if you want to stay in the craft for decades and decades and decades to come, look at older men that have been in the craft for decades and decades and decades. They're usually not swinging 9-pound hammers. 3 max. Most of the time 2 or less. So adopt that early on and you won't have to worry about all the joint troubles that you'll have. Learning that lesson.
County Line Forge says, have a good one. Got more work to do for the hammer in May. Hammer in May.
Hey, right on, County Line Forge. Thanks for dropping in, bud.
Jason Boros says, made my first bottle opener last night after watching the Alex Steele live stream.
Awesome. He made enough of them apparently in that live stream. You ought to learn something. That was a really long live stream. I got to take my hat off to him. I stopped in for a little bit. I was commenting. I said, yeah, I bet he tuckers out by the time the bottle openers get up to $200 each. And I checked back in much later in the evening, and at that time they were like 300 and some each. And I'm like, well, I was wrong. Oh, I don't know exactly when he quit. I was out busy working on the barn, working on the shop, so I wasn't in any live streams last evening. It's way too busy.
Yeah. John Howitt says, do you always weld on a stem to the hammer blanks? Does it make it easier for the tongs to hold?
No, not always. I just did it for the live stream because it's easier than fiddling with a pair of tongs. Mainly, I would have done this under the power hammer mostly too. You know, this drawing out portion, and even some of the billeting or welding up. After it would have been the first initial setting, the first initial weld by hand, I would have went under the power hammer. And it's nice to be able to have tongs to kind of manipulate the billet however you like to under the thing. And you really can't do that when you've got a stem sticking off the end of it. We're getting there. We're almost there.
All right. Little Fierce sent a $5 super chat and says, so you start with coal, how does it become coke?
Well, it goes through an entire process to get there. But basically, if you start with green coal, that means it's freshly mined out of the ground. It's just green coal. Hasn't been burnt yet. As it burns, it converts into this thing called breeze. And from breeze, it bakes up and it becomes coke. So breeze is a little bit different. It's soft and spongy in texture, and you can break it much like popcorn or like that fake popcorn that you can find out there. I forget what they call it. It's fake popcorn that you've seen. It comes in a bag.
Styrofoam? Or?
I forget what they call them. They're like popcorn kernels, but they're not popcorn. They're fake. They're made from.
I know what you're talking about.
What's that?
I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the name of
Yeah,
them
you'll
right
have
now.
to talk up tonight. I'm totally deaf.
Okay.
I can't hear anything out of you. So.
All right.
So anyways, so it has that kind of texture to it. And then it gets hard, and that's when it becomes coke. And as it's doing that, it's burning out more and more of the impurities and the different things in it, the different volatiles and things that are in it, releasing some of the silica that's in it, which is sand basically, to become clinker at the bottom of your fire pot, and then you have coke. You can bypass that whole process just by buying coke, metallurgical grade coke that they have, or sometimes you can buy a thing called pet coke, and that's got a bit of petroleum. It has a bit of oil in it. But that there, again, if you buy coke, it's something that has already been baked in a very large facility in an oven, and it bakes out all of the impurities, all the sulfurs and carbon dioxides and all those other things that are in it. All the impurities, it bakes those out till you end up with coke. Now you still have the sand in it, you still have the silica in it, so you'll still get clinker, but you just won't have all the smoke that's with it. So hopefully that explained it in good enough detail. And then at the end you have ash, just ashes.
Granddad's happy to hear you're starting a new job on Monday.
Right on, Granddad.
Hello,
Let's
Hans.
go to camera number 2.
All right. Larry Bracer, those were made by Chip Brown at Brown Cow Art. Eli, happy birthday. Megaphone, yep, might be. By the way, Chris Walker, yeah, if you go down in the video description, I'll tell you how to contact us for your prize.
All right, there we go. Got to keep working it down now. We're starting to get some taper to it. Mm-hmm. Now we're developing a little bit. Grab a thing here. We're developing a bit of carp's mouth, but that's okay because this is going to be a straight peen hammer. It's going to be a straight peen hammer, and we're going to be doing a bird's mouth weld. So if I grab this wedged piece, we've got a wedged piece here that is going to get wedged into this. We're going to make a cut in that bird's mouth anyhow. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to take and have that bird's mouth there. So we're not going to worry about that too much right now. We'll get this heated back up and we'll continue to work that down. The hard part about wrought iron is that you have to maintain a welding heat while you're working it. You can't maintain anything less than a welding heat. If you maintain less than a welding heat, it's going to split on you like wood. So you have to maintain that welding heat at all times, which means there's longer heat times on a billet this size, especially if you let it cool down to the point that I was letting it cool down, and then you put it back in. It's going to take a long time for that to heat up again. Just because you have to take the entire thing, or wherever you're working at anyhow, clear up to a welding heat. Oh, it takes a longer heat time. Unlike mild steel, you can work it at a dull orange and just work at it all the way till it's a dull red, you know, but you can't do that with wrought iron.
Couple of questions about your brushing technique.
Yeah.
Texas Taterbug says, why did you brush just then? Was it to keep from pounding scale into the finished piece or to see your lines better?
To see my hammer marks. That's why I brushed. So it is absolutely pointless to brush the material as it comes out of the forge. You see scale develop on the surface. That is the iron interacting with the oxygen at a high temperature, creating iron oxide, or basically rusting. It's accelerated rust, if you will. That's what scale is. It's iron oxide. It's just falling off by the droves. When you brush it, you expose a new layer, or a fresh layer of steel that's heated at temperature to the oxygen, and it creates more scale. So you can keep brushing and never do one single hammer lick on it, and until it cools down enough that it no longer makes that iron oxide, it no longer has that chemical reaction with the oxygen around us in the atmosphere, it's going to continue to scale up. So what I do instead is I will hammer on the piece until I'll hammer on it, and then I will brush to look to see how my hammer marks are, you know, and check things for square and get some of the junk off of it at that point. Now you will see me occasionally brush when it comes out of the fire, and that's if something's stuck to it. If there's a bit of clinker that's blown up from the air blast and it's gotten stuck to the underside, then you want to brush that off before you go welding on it, because you don't want to drive that piece of clinker into the billet, right? You want to brush that clean. So that's the reason, that's my brushing technique. That's why I brushed when I did.
Wayne Morey asked also, why did you bring the brush towards you and not away? Is it preference or technique?
Technique, not preference. It is my preference to go away. It's a lot easier to brush away, and you can get more power into the stroke. The reason why I'm bringing it towards me is because the pair of tongs that I have, they don't hold this bar stock so well. They can still twist around and slide around on the bar stock. And so if I were to brush this way, good chance I'm going to expel that hammer billet out of the tongs, out of the grip of the tongs, and it's going to flip off onto the floor. If I brush the billet back into myself, it's only going to be able to push that billet back into the jaws of the tongs, if that makes sense. So that's why I brush back towards myself in this particular case. Most brushing operations I do in small work or other things like that, or where the tongs fit really well, are away from me. So it's just a technique change because of situational.
See, Gordon Farmer asked if he can buy just the ladle blanks or if it has to be the full kits. I think you can buy them without the handles.
Yep, you can buy just the ladles themselves. Mm-hmm. And the spatulas. And yeah, we've got several different options over there on our website. We've got stuff in bulk where you save a bit of money. We have stuff where you can have the kits. We have stuff without the kits and just the singular items. So, you know, if you haven't been over to our website, a lot has changed here lately at blacksmithpds.com, so you should definitely go check it out. We have a ton of blanks over there available. And we were pestered forever about when we were going to do blanks, flower blanks, and now they're up there. And so far we've only sold 10.
Just in time for spring.
Huh?
Just in time for spring.
Yeah, just in time
Mother's
for spring.
Day.
And so far, we've only sold a pack of 10. So thus far. So get over there and get on it.
Yamez, thank you for the mustache super sticker. Good evening, by the way.
Thank you, Yamez.
And he also sent a $10 super chat saying, awesome job on the gilded sign bracket.
Thank you, sir. Greatly appreciate it. There's also some names I'd like to point out in the live stream this evening. If you haven't went out and checked their channels out yet, you should. First one is Troy over at Bar Run Forge. You should go give his channel a check out. And he does live streams, I believe, every Thursday evening, right around 6 p.m., I believe it is. I believe it's 6 p.m. And he's at Bar Run Forge. He is in the chat this evening, I believe. He can go ahead and drop a link to his channel if he would like to do so. I think he's a moderator, is he not?
I think so. I'll check when I see his name again.
I'm sure he's a moderator, but whoever's modding, they can drop a link there in the chat for him. And then also Yamez over at Island Metal Forge. He does his live streams in the evenings, right around 5, 6 p.m. thereabouts on Saturdays, and in the morning at about 10 a.m. on Sundays. He does like a blacksmith church kind of thing, get together, held over from Big Dog Forge. Tim over at Big Dog Forge, when he used to do that little get together in the morning. So yeah, so definitely go check out Yamez at Island Metal Forge. He's a great guy. Both big supporters of the channel and the stream. So
Thomas Goodemut, thank you for the $5 super chat. He says, good evening, Roy, and good evening, Jess. I don't know how much I'll be able to watch tonight. Just got off work. I'll honk when I drive by. Smiley face.
Hey, thanks for being here, Thomas. Thanks for the $5. God bless you, brother.
Debaka earlier asked where he was, and yeah, Thomas's work has been picking up, so he'll be spending a bit more time at work.
Yep. His regular job, you know, the one that actually pays him a living wage. They came a calling and he said, okay, yes, boss, and went back to work. Oh.
Speargrass asked if you're going to do a vid on gilding. He said that was awesome.
Am I going to do a what?
A video on gilding.
I may. I'm still fairly new to the process, so I wouldn't say that I would be an expert in it, that I would, you know, teach it necessarily. But there will be in the video on making this French Baroque sign bracket, there will be a section in there where I show myself working on doing the gilding itself. It's a fairly simple process, but it's nerve-wracking. It's very nerve-wracking to do because those books of gold are not cheap. And actually on this sign bracket, there's a few areas I would have loved to touch up, but I ran out of gold leaf. So I was really stretching the gold leaf to do one book, which is about $59, $60. I think it's what, 70 shipped?
Something like
after
that,
it's all said and done. So like $70 for 25 sheets. And so you're looking about 70-ish dollars worth of gold leaf on there. So very pricey. So I wish I could have had an extra pack or booklet of gold leaf on hand on that. So that's one thing I can give as a piece of advice. If you're doing gold leafing, even though it's expensive, buy more than what you think you can afford. Because you're going to need it, especially if you are just getting started into it. But yeah, I suppose one day I might do a small little video tutorial of the things that I've picked up along the way of messing with it. So wouldn't be opposed to it.
Tobacco-free Catfish says you're really good at blacksmithing.
Well, thank you. I do try. I do try.
Heath French says, is there any other smiths that work either in your shop or in your town?
Nope. Only Thomas. Goody moot. Now, there's some other smiths that live a little bit further away from me. There's some that live up in Alpena. No one professional, though. All kind of hobbyist on that. So, no, as far as I know, no professional shops for professional blacksmiths. going on. But never know, I might bump into one. You never know what you might scare up just by driving around.
Here goes Thomas.
There went Thomas on the highway. Let's give something else away. That's still got another minute, Jess, or so.
Sure.
This time, let's give away an Irish blank. All right.
Okay.
If you want to go to camera number 2, we can show it off there.
Sure. Here you go.
Just like so.
Just like I saw.
All right. So when I'm done ringing the handle, the hammer here on the anvil, somebody else, you know, somebody's going to win it. Jessica's going to draw a name at random.
That's right.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Who's winning the Iris blank?
We have Philip Urban with Iris blank.
Philip Irvin?
Correct.
Congratulations. Get with us through that contact link or email, I should say, in the description. We'll get that shipped out to you pronto. Now I'm going to give away a Trillium blank. We can go to camera number 2.
Okay.
You there?
Yep.
We'll give away a Trillium blank. All of these in which I do plan on doing full out tutorials on at some point in time. And we're going to give away one of these now. Something with Trillium in it. Ready?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Who do we got?
See here. I'm waiting. It's still Iris comments.
Uh-oh.
So there we go. We have, hang on, my thing's moving. K. Derek Goodwin with Trill, short for Trillium.
K. Derek Goodwin, congratulations. Yep. You won the Trillium blank. Get with us through the contact email in the description and we'll get it sent out to you.
Yes, for those of you who have the lagging internet, normally the chat comes to you faster than the video feed. That's why I put in there a notice when we're about to give away an item to give you a heads up. That way if your video is lagging, you can still read it in the comments.
Exactly. Are we at the main cam now?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we are.
Okay, good. Once this thing's there, I'll be good to go.
Wayne
Might
Morey,
just crank
Trillium,
this up
never
a
heard
bit
of it.
more, huh?
The Trillium is a 3-petaled flower. Pretty common. I think it's one of the earlier ones that comes up in spring.
There we go. That up.
Janet McComb, welcome.
Who?
Janet McComb.
Janet McComb. Hello, hello. All right, gotta get some more Coke on here.
Ewan Roberts Photography. I'm getting back into blacksmithing after I saw your videos and a few other blacksmiths videos. Just building up my workshop now. It's kind of an ongoing process to get tools. You know, Roy still gets tools now and then, even different hand tools.
You'll always be building up tools.
Mm-hmm.
It's a never-ending process. Never-ending.
Trail Dust 55. I think it's my brain that's lagging.
Is it brain trail dust? Well, that is possible. Your brain could be on lagging. If you see an error bar run across your vision and your eyeballs, that might be a problem.
Brittingham Forge says, I'm going to make an Irish pocket knife, aka potato peeler. Tinker It Forge, formerly Tommy Smith, welcome to the Bellows Boy.
Hey, good to have you. Thank you so much for that. So, that would be another good thing, good round of conversation to talk about. I want to do another live stream on that, burning the names into the membership wall. For those of you who don't know, a little while ago when we set up channel memberships, which, by the way, if you plan on buying blanks, you might want to be a channel member first. Just saying, they get really big discounts on buying tools or blanks or whatever we have over our website.
Yep.
But the other perk to being a member is we have a membership wall here in the workshop. And we did an evening where we burned 50 names into that wall. So, and we don't quite have another 50 names to burn in the wall just yet, but I think we got what, 27?
Yeah.
Yeah, 27, 28 names or
Yep.
so. So we're going to go ahead and give those a go at some point and just do a special stream burning those names in the wall. And so, yeah, so be looking out for that. And it's going to be like, it'll just be a random stream. It won't be a scheduled one or anything like that. But what do you all think about doing that? Would you like to come join? You don't have to be a member to join in the fun. It'll be live for everyone, but it'll be, that's what we'll be doing. Hanging out and watching Roy up on scaffolding. Trying not to break his neck. Desperately.
Yeah, I gotta watch having Yamaz, you know, trying to get me over there to give it an earthquake test.
Yeah. Yeah, good old Yama's there. He was trying to get her to shove me off that thing last time.
Bloody-eyed old grandpa said, did your parents think blacksmithing wasn't a good career path?
Don't know. They always knew I was kind of crafty and handy at stuff. I did HVAC work, and at the time when I started blacksmithing, it really wasn't their choice. I was already been married for a year, and Jessica and I had already been married for a full year, and I think she was even pregnant with our first daughter, Abigail, at that point.
Maybe.
So really wasn't any of their concern. At that point, I could do what I want with my life. But
I would say they were supportive. They bought you your first vise.
Yeah, I would say that they were very supportive. My parents were. That would be very true. As far as whether they thought it was a great idea or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. They never said. Probably because they knew that it wouldn't have mattered if they did say. I had just done it anyhow.
Janet McComb says, can you explain how to become a member? Let me do it.
Jessica,
Okay.
your department. And then we're almost up to heat here, so we need to...
Okay.
I'll need to do that here in a second, okay?
Just next to the subscribe button, there will be a join button. It's not available on all devices. Currently, it might be iPhone that they don't haven't rolled out that feature yet. But if you get on a desktop computer and join the channel, after that, the features will be available on any device. So, yep. I think it begins, our lowest tier is $3.99 and goes up to $100, I think, the Golden Mastersmith. And each tier has different levels of perks. Yeah.
All right, we ready? All right, let's go to the anvil, please.
All right.
You there?
Yep.
Are you switching with the mouse or are you switching with the switcher?
The switcher.
All right. I was like, I'm hoping the switcher's still working.
Oh yeah, it's working fine.
that helps clean that right up. Looking pretty good. Just a little bit more focusing right here on the tip. And I'll be getting right into shape.
Hammer and Ironworks asked, did you ever study under a blacksmith or did you learn by trial and error?
I have studied under multiple blacksmiths. And I've also done some trial and error. And if I have my preference, study under a blacksmith that knows what they're doing. Preferably a master blacksmith. It will cut out years, decades of trial and error time from your forging experience. So anytime you can take a class, a workshop, an apprenticeship, an internship, whatever you can do under someone who knows what they're doing in the craft of blacksmithing and in this trade, it will severely shortcut that learning curve on you.
Renato Selvaggi asked, does your shop get too warm to work in?
Not really, especially not this time of year. So this time of year, I mean, I think it's what, 46, 47 degrees right now?
Yeah.
Where we're at. And as you can see, I've got plenty of airflow through the shop. And in the summer months, it's really not too bad. In here, in the summer, the hottest I've seen it is 100 degrees in here. My old shop used to get about 140 degrees in the summer, and I worked in that all the time. So as far as a reference point, no, this is great. This is in good shape comparatively from my old shop. Next question.
Jeff Killian, when are you going to make sleigh bell blanks? Maybe towards Christmas. That might be a new things towards
maybe towards Christmas.
Tail into fall.
Have to keep an eye out on the shop. We'll sneak them in there.
Excelsior 1 says, any advice on getting symmetry during tong making? I keep having small variations that end up with a slightly lopsided pair of tongs. Rookie move, I know.
Yeah, I've got some advice. So most beginners' mistakes with tongs are generally always attributed to this one singular fact. You go too far with one half of your pair of tongs. So you have nothing to compare it to. So what I mean by that is you take a pair of tongs that you're making, generally, and you work out one nib, one boss, one rein, the whole half of the tong. And then you go along, and then you forge the other half, and then it doesn't match up. Why? It's because you're two different smiths in two different time zones when you made those. You started off really chipper, had a lot of energy, had extra gusto in your hammer blows and everything, and you drew out the nibs on the one fairly long and nice and thin into a specific cross section. And then you made the boss. And then you drew out the reins, and now you really wore out. Well, now the next time you make a pair of jaws, they're going to be a little less long. They're going to be a little less refined. Maybe they might be a bit more stumpy. The boss might be a little bit more overworked, and those reins are lumpy. So again, the easiest thing you can do to help get mirror image tong halves to turn into a perfect set of tong blanks is to work each tong blank that you have, each tong half, in stages. So you do the nibs first, or the jaws, if you will. You forge the jaws. You make sure those look exactly alike before you move on to the next step. The next step, you forge the boss. Make sure those look exactly alike and they fit well. Last step, you draw the reins on both at the same time. If you do that, you'll get up a very perfect pair of tongs each and every single time. But you have to break it down into them stages. One of the other things that a beginner will hurt themselves on all the time, I see this all the time, is they try to punch and or drift the rivet pinhole. That is a common, very common failure point. I don't recommend punching and drifting a rivet hole on a pair of tongs unless they are made from fairly large material. And I'm talking 3/4 inch bar stock and up for holding larger or thicker stock. That's it, because there's simply just not enough meat in a light pair of tongs for holding 1/4 inch bar stock or 1/8 inch or whatever, or even 3/8 bar stock tongs. There's just not enough material there to punch and drift. So ultimately what happens is with punching and drifting, you get this little thing called suck down, where it actually sucks a bit of the material down into the hole as the punch is going through, and as well as with the drift going through, and then your rivet doesn't line up nicely. And then you spend a lot of time clobbering the hell out of your rivet to make your rivet look somewhat tight, make it function somewhat like a pair of tongs, and then that eschews your jaws as well. So those are just some key mistakes that most people make when they're making tongs. That, in fact, would be a really good video to do, and I may just do that. Usually whenever I do, like, stop doing these mistake videos or things like that, I get a lot of flack for doing videos like that, because ultimately I step on someone's personal feelings because they feel hurt that I'm pointing them out that their method is lackluster. So that's, I do get in trouble for those type videos. So if I do make a video, come by, say hi, say thank you, to counteract the amount of trollage I'll have.
Chris Schaefer, thank you for the $5 super chat. He says, evening all, what are we making tonight?
Hello, Chris. Thank you. We are making a wrought iron hammer, sir. Well, one step in the process.
Yes, Blacksmith. We offer private classes here at our shop in northern Michigan, Harrisville, just a bit south of Alpena, Michigan, on the Lake Huron side.
Gosh, waiting forever for that thing to get hot. It's right there. The fire's not quite right, but I don't want to pull the steel out. I don't want to pull the wrought iron out and let it set off to the side to allow the fire to get back up to full temp. You know, but the fire's not quite right, so I'm kind of fighting it, trying to do both at the same time. That's why it's taking so long.
Little Fear says, do you cut out blanks or are they smithed?
I cut out blanks. I have a CNC plasma cutter, and I'm not afraid to use it.
Bacon and Egg says, what hammer weight do you recommend for making small works?
This hammer that I'm forging on this right now with is a 1 3/4 pound hammer. So, smaller than that, 1 pound hammer. Smaller than that, 6 ounce hammer. Down to engraving chisels, 3 ounce hammer. So, that's what I would recommend.
Wayne Morey says, do we have master blacksmiths in the U.S.?
Well, that's to be determined by the wise sages of the YouTube and of the Facebook internet forums. You will get a mix of responses. In general, here in the United States, we don't like to say the word master. We don't like the authority structure. That's generally not a thing that we're really keen on here in the United States. And you'll see that there are clear master blacksmiths here in the United States of America. And I doubt you would find anybody who would argue that Mark Asbury is not a master blacksmith. Tom Latney, Peter Ross, Clay Spencer, some of these other guys and I can't even get into all of the names in this thing because I'll butch a couple of the names up. But there are so many really amazing smiths out there that are like next stratosphere level ability out there. With that being said, like I said, the cultural bias here in the United States is we don't like that word master. We don't like that word master. I worked with a guy by the name Peter Bruner many years ago. I don't know what's 5 years ago, 5+ years ago now. Worked with a guy, and he was younger than me. He was only 22, and he was already considered a master blacksmith in Germany. So his work was okay. It was great. I wouldn't say it was above and beyond, or if it was better than Peter Ross or Clay Spencer or you know, any of those gentlemen. I wouldn't say it was better than their work. It was different, and it was from a particular styling in his home country there. But he was already considered a master blacksmith where he came from. So if you look back to what a master blacksmith is the master of the shop. He is the main person in the main blacksmith in the shop. He controls everything. So if I can teach you, you know, if I could teach you in my shop, assuming that you're running a professional business, you're doing some form of ironwork at a set standard, then you would be considered the master blacksmith of whatever that enterprise is. I don't care whether you're forging napkin rings or making blades or shoeing horses or whatever. You would be considered the master blacksmith of that period in time in your own shop. Because we forget that it used to be in yesteryear that you weren't considered a master, or you couldn't have your own shop until you went through a very lengthy apprenticeship program. You went through a very lengthy journeymanship of being a journeyman, and then you had to be approved to be a master. And once you completed that journeyman smith and tested out, then you were seen as a master smith, and you could open up your own shop and start forging your own wares and selling them to the folks around you wherever you were at. But you know, we never had that here in America. That wasn't really a thing since colonial times. Mm-hmm. Certainly after the Revolution, yeah, didn't have that. After the American Revolution, Revolutionary War, we didn't, that kind of mastership and apprenticeship kind of thing, that system went away, kind of failed away. All right, I'm going to take this out. I think we're good. Right. Great question, though.
Ken Levy, yes, our snow has melted up here in the northern wilderness.
Are you at the anvil?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, also we do have about 24 videos on tong making on our channel. We have a whole playlist around it. Greetings, Eric. Joseph Kelly, sometimes the first step to find somebody to train under is just by taking a regular blacksmithing class under a different smith. And if you like working with them there, you can inquire about taking a internship with them. Chris Walker, well, thank you very much. Chris Kane, welcome.
Looks good. We are definitely getting there. Check it against my bit.
Little Fear, yes, Roy is a full-time blacksmith, been doing so for close to 10 years.
Yep, 10 years.
Matt Wyatt, Roy did forge a door, a door knocker and a live stream. You said door lock, sorry, got the two confused.
A what?
He said he'd love to see you forge a door lock and a live stream.
A door lock?
Mm-hmm.
No, I've never done a door lock, but I should. Well, I've done a door lock, I just haven't done one for a live stream. Oh. So, on the note of master blacksmiths and apprentice blacksmiths and journeymans and things like that, it's a tricky thing to answer. It really is. I like the question because I think there needs to be more dialogue about that in America as a whole. I really do. I think that there needs to be, and the more and more people that get into it, just like in the old times, how do you know that the person you're talking to knows what they know? How can you validate or how can you verify that the person giving you the information is actually correct, right? And has any sort of authority to give you that sort of information on the right way of doing something, or the way that they would do something that is less dangerous than the other way of doing something. How can you verify those things in the world today that we live in? All the information's out there, but doesn't mean all the information is good. And inevitably it's not. There's a lot of bad information mixed in with good information. And you got different takes, different perspectives on that. Because there's not really any sort of governing body whatsoever on what is considered good ironwork, what is considered professionally done, safely done, things like that. Since there isn't any of that to really get into this trade of blacksmithing, yeah, it's 50-50. You can go out and create a $70,000 rail that, people, a balcony, $70,000 balcony job that you tack weld together with a Harbor Freight welder, and then somebody leans on it, snaps, and falls to their death. Like, you can do that because there's no one verifying that you know how to weld. In all the other trades in America, you have to go through some form of formal training and certifications and find out that you know what you know when it comes to that particular trade. But blacksmithing is one of those weird things where if you got a hole in the ground with a fire in your heart, buddy, and a rock to beat upon, you, sir, are a blacksmith, and you can bid out and quote out work just as well as a job that has 15 full-time employed smiths in there. And so that is both a good thing and it's a bad thing. It's a great thing because if you are an enterprising individual, you don't have anybody standing over you. There's no organization. There's no nothing saying you can't go after whatever, or you're not ready yet, right? It's a bad thing because how do you know when you are ready to progress to your next step, right? If you're wanting to turn this into a career or turn this into a trade. And that's really hard, and that's really hard to go with, I can openly and honestly admit that when I started selling my works 10 years ago, that's a decade ago, okay? It wasn't that great. It really wasn't. I can look at some of my earlier works, and they were horrible. They were horrible. They were what I would consider like apprentice level, beginner, novice, complete novice level attempts at stuff. But by golly, I was throwing them out there on the internet, and I was getting people to buy them. What happened to those items nowadays? Are they still in use? Did they snap in two and use? I have no clue. I don't want to know, to be honest with you. My only hope is they didn't hurt nobody in the process, right? Like I just hope that whoever got them hung them up on a wall somewhere and admired the piece of junk I had made them, okay? But that's coming from a perspective of a man that's been in the trade for 10 years now. I've been running this business for 10 years, full time, every single day, 365 practically, 6 days a week, just 6 days a week, right, for the last decade of my life. And so with that being said, that's one of those, I can look back on that now and say, ooh, yeah, I should have probably went and did some more learning before I started selling stuff, because it's just simple things like the product not holding up over time. Figuring out paint, what works, what doesn't, what finishes will last out in the rain and what finishes won't, and it'll lead to stuff. Design work, that's a huge one. I can roll into this. This is a Roy's blacksmithing moment, blacksmith rant moment, by the way. Design work, this is a little bit that I'm going to talk about. I'll just give you a little precursor to what I'm going to talk about in my conference demonstration that I'll be demonstrating at BAM this year. Design work. This I could have designed differently than the way it is now. I could have just drew whatever little squirrely doos and scrolly bits on here tack welded them all together into a frame-like thing, painted it, and called it a day. The problem is like with these acanthus sleeves, the way that I chose to shape these acanthus sleeves are for watershed. So this way, it does not target water down in the joint, accelerating the decomposition process of this material to get this thing to start to decompose like crazy and just rust out. So there was a lot of thought given to just the design in of itself. Me 10 years ago, no, I wouldn't have thought about that. That wouldn't have been anywhere in my little pretty brain there. Wouldn't have been anything to it. So I've made things, I'm sure, that were outdoors that have probably rusted in two by now. That did not give the owner the longevity that they were hoping for out of high-end ironwork, right? And so those are some of those things that you don't know what you don't know at that time. I've gotten a decade of practice at, unfortunately, a lot of homeowners' expenses as well, because I'm just being 100% honest. I'm sure there's a few out there that weren't happy with their ironwork after 3 or 4 years. It's just came from the time where I was at. But if I would have had the luxury of having somebody who was already in that space that I could have trained up under, I could have avoided a lot of those what are now, to me, simple pitfalls and mistakes. You know, that could have been avoided a long time ago. And I would be 3 times better of a smith and probably doing 10 times more quality work for my clients than what I'm doing right now currently. So, you know, it's very interesting discussion to have. I should shut up now, huh?
No, you're fine.
You're looking at me. You got a whole bunch of stuff. I wonder what the comments are.
Oh.
Oh, I'm sure they're hilarious.
Let's see here. Blacksmith, let's see, how do you earn a living as a full-time blacksmith? Is it the setup on the live the same as your daily production blacksmith jobs?
I can't hear you, babe.
Okay. How do you earn a living as a full-time blacksmith? Is the setup on the live the same as your daily production blacksmith jobs?
Is the setup on the live? Mm-hmm. Okay, I guess I don't understand the question. I'll try to answer it the best I can. The setup here, as far as the forging area, yes, it doesn't change. This isn't like the strategic place that I just forge for live streams. That's not what this place is. This setup here, this is my shop. This is where I earn my living as a full-time blacksmith. As far as what do I do to earn my keep as a blacksmith full-time, that's just about everything that walks through the door. Now, I have changed somewhat over the years. I don't have to just take on any and every job. And in fact, this year, because I have a lot of conferences demonstrating that, regular teaching engagements, things like that, I have decided to step back from doing custom commission work. I have 3 big commissions on me right now that I need to get done this year. They've been waiting for 1.5 years for me to get to their orders. I have finally cleared my books enough that I'm going to do those now. So, you know, so I'm kind of backing off now a little bit on that end. But I would say the majority of my income comes from custom commission work. And that's everything from small scale architectural pieces to functional items, just like any other blacksmith across the dawn of time would have forged. Everything from candle holders and coat racks and fire screens and utensils for the fireplace and just everything. Custom hammers. I've done all sorts of things out there. Anniversary gifts, wedding presents, a lot of gifty kind of things as well. But that's how I earn my living. Teaching is becoming a more larger portion of that now as well. But that's because I've invested a lot of time into teaching.
Jason Boros says, how hard was the jump from hobby blacksmith to professional blacksmith, and where do you get your brushes from?
So my brushes, I got those. You can get your brushes at like a Blacksmith Depot or any farrier supply place. you can get your brushes from there to answer that question right up front. As far as how hard was it for a jump going from like a regular hobbyist to a professional, I really didn't get a choice in that. So I got in a car wreck that hobbled me up for 6 months, and well, longer than that, about a year. It took me about a year of recovery here and there, where I basically crushed 2 spinal discs on my lower back here, lower spine. And so that took me a long time to recover from that. I used to do heating and air conditioning as my original profession and trade. And so, yeah, that took me out of that because I couldn't take and do bending. And if you'll notice, I don't bend a lot. You won't see me go running around and picking a whole bunch of stuff off the floor and things like that all day long, and it's because of that injury. So I don't do that. I don't do a lot of bending. And in heating and air conditioning work, you have to bend a lot at the hips and at the waist. So, but yeah, so I didn't really get a choice. God kind of gave me the boot. Boop. I felt the call that I wanted to do this for a full-time living, and I said, well, but a regular day job. I got regular pay. Nah, I'm going to stick with this. And then, boom, fender bender. Roy's now doing it as a profession. So that's a super truncated, a super short version of the full story. So
we have a comment here from Dan the Undead Man. He says, thank you, Roy, for sharing. I recently lost my mom to suicide, and focusing on blacksmithing has helped me through the grief. I've learned so much. Thank you.
I am so sorry to hear that. That is definitely sad anytime we do lose one of our parents, especially to something as tragic as that. You know, that's can't even fathom that for you, brother. You're in our hearts and prayers for that. And hopefully this stream is bringing somewhat of a bright spot to your day. Yeah, much love, brother. We'll be praying for you.
Thomas Gudemoot dropped back in. He says, I'm in for a few more minutes.
Woo, Thomas. Oh.
And new member, Joseph Kelly, as a bellows boy.
Thank you, Joseph Kelly. Greatly appreciate that. Oh. That's one of the things I like about over at Troy at Bar Run Forge's live stream he does. If you have anybody that you want to have remembered, he has a bell that he dings. You know, they'll do a couple bell rings and do a moment of silence for, you know, anybody who's passed on that you want to, you know, honor or remember or things like that. And so that's kind of a cool thing. I would totally knock off that or steal that from him, but it would probably be seen as bad taste on my part to do that. So I got to come up with my own thing for that, to show remembrance and bring awareness to stuff like that. But yeah, that's no joke. That's life. That's real life. That's not YouTube life stuff. All of our petty first world problems that we get into, sometimes we forget there's a bigger picture out there. Wait.
Texas Taterbug says, I gotta be honest, I kind of want to hear Jess's version of that story, how you got into blacksmithing, or the transition.
You're like, well, you see, it was like this. Roy was a complete bum, and I told him one day, get out there and make something.
No, it's funny. There's a little side combo going in there when you're ranting on about, you know, oh, does Jess work? What does she do? And it's funny, you guys really wrote me up good you did, in the comments. But I do a lot of variety of things. One of them is medaling. That's happened to be, spend some of my time medaling on Roy's behalf. That's how he's gotten some scholarships and things when he first started blacksmithing.
Definitely a medaler.
Yes, but yeah, I do all kinds of things. A lot of it's kind of office related. You know, I filed the LLC stuff. I read up on whatever's necessary for the business. I do bookkeeping. I do. Yep.
You keep talking.
Okay. I also do customer communications. I help with the shipping. I manage the website. Trying to think of everything. It's tough. I do the SEO for the videos. and I homeschool our 3 kids. Also, I sell enamel jewelry and just some forged jewelry as well on our Etsy store. And last year, I also started doing product photography on Fiverr. So I offer my services as a product photography for some other small businesses. So yes, all kinds of things. Polyhammer Ironworks, have a good evening. Glad you're able to stop in. James Rowe, yes, that is an old hand crank hand drill on the back wall back there. The Roy manager, yeah. Yep, tobacco-free catfish, you could say that. Thank you, Stephen Watkins. Yeah, I wouldn't claim I do all the hard work. Roy definitely does all the heavy work. Jason Boris, yes, I have done a little bit of forging. A couple of videos I've done on the channel. I did several ornaments, I think 3 years back. Oh yes, Wayne Moore, you saw my video on the Celtic bracelet. That's been a couple years.
All right, good.
Let's see here. Sable Wolf, how much material did you start with today and what will the finished weight be?
So that billet right there is 4 pounds. The finished weight's going to be 2 pounds. So I've got more than I need. And it's best to have that just in case you screw up a weld or you got to redo something. And you lose material so you don't lose the whole billet, right? You don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. So I'm starting with more material, and then I'm going to cut the excess material I don't need off for weight. Once I calculate what that is, I'm going to chop that off of what will become the hammer face, if that makes sense. Total finish weight in this hammer, because there's going to be a lot of finishing work on this deal, is going to be, that's the tricky part. You can always calculate a lot of material, but you can't really calculate how much material you're going to lose when finishing a piece out. And I'm going to lose a lot of material just by the nature of what I'm doing with the piece. The piece is going to be highly refined. It's going to be a highly refined hammer, and so therefore I'm going to lose a lot of material, squaring anything back up, cleaning up the corners, again, dressing out any concerns I may have, weld lines, scarf, toes of scarves that maybe didn't blend in as well as I would have liked, things like that. I'm going to have a lot of wastage in that. So it's always good to overshoot a little bit. You can always remove material. You can't add material back to, though. So the finished weight is going to be right around 2 pounds, and it's a 2 pound straight peen.
Let's see, Heather Northrup, with Etsy, how do you handle people canceling payments after you have shipped them the items and they will not return them? We have not run into that problem before because
I've got an answer. Go ahead.
Okay. We don't issue a refund until after the item has been returned. So that's the best way to avoid that.
So best way to avoid that is you don't send nothing out, not jack diddly, until you have their money up front. So period. Because you will always get hosed unless you have money up front when it comes to that. There's been many a times where someone's tried to jerk me around on money when it comes to an item, trying to do that, bait and switch kind of deal. And yeah, it doesn't work when you've already got a hold of their money and their income. And especially if you're going through a reputable site. If you're going through like Etsy or eBay or whatever, they have very clearly defined return policies and how the money exchange of money and dialogue works. So they've about all but eliminated fraud in that department. That still happens. There's still a new trick around. Somebody figures out a way around the corner every now and then, but that's how you eliminate that as a problem, you get your money up front. And you don't ship the item until they have that. I don't care what excuse they give you. Maybe like, my dog died, my wife ran away, my mom's in stage 4 chemo, cancer, whatever. If they're using that as a bartering chip, 10 times out of 10, you're going to get hosed on the transaction. So make sure that you get your money up front. If you are doing it through your own personal website, make sure you're very clear on what the return policies and what that stuff looks like as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Good evening, Mr. Coffee.
And for big jobs, I want to mention this. For big jobs where you're receiving lots of money, in check format, cash it on that person's bank. Do not cash it at your own bank. Because if you cash it at your own bank, they can put a stop payment on it. If you cash it at their bank, the money's gone. It's yours. So that's just a little helpful tip there. If you think that someone might be pulling your chain, make sure you cash their money at their bank if you're getting a check. I learned that lesson the hard way as well, didn't we, hun?
Yep. A lot of times with big jobs, and you have to make sure you're real clear with customers on this, you know. But with big jobs, we'll do 50% upfront at the time of order placement, and then we'll say, you know, the job will take X amount of time from order placement. That way, it's not just from whenever you're quoting them the job. You have to be spell that out from order placement. That's when it'll be 10 weeks later, whatever the time amount is, and then also. Final payment will be due when the item is complete prior to shipping. So you just gotta take the time to write things out.
Very clearly. Sorry you got took though. That always sucks. Now, I'll also put this out as a preface, okay? I am a very shrewd businessman. I really am. But that is also part of the reasons why people ask me all the time, people accuse me of things, and then people also ask me of things all the time why is your business name Christ-Centered Ironworks? And that is the real root of the reason why it's named Christ-Centered Ironworks. I wanted a level of accountability in my life. It was a personal thing. It wasn't some sort of hey, I'm going to be out there, I'm going to be some sort of outreach minister, and I'm going to beat people with Jesus, I'm going to bring them to the Lord, I'm going to baptize you. That wasn't my intention. I named the company Christ-Centered Ironworks because if I failed, it's because I was failing Christ in His image. I have His image to uphold and not just my own. Because it's really easy to have a dark corner in your life, go to church on Sunday, smile, everything, get your cup of coffee, be in the front pew, hi-ho, hosanna, and then come Monday, be the largest hypocrite in the world, right? Being smoking, drinking, drugs, doing the whole thing, right? Doing the whole life of that sort of thing. And so by naming my company and taking on Christian business practices that I think would be honorable to God, that's kind of how I set that up. So in a lot of cases when someone's brought up a dispute about they weren't happy with my work or they were wanting a refund, we did our best and our absolute over the top to try to make that customer happy. And in rare few cases where we were literally just being hustled for money, did we not ever give back any sort of refund or money or things like that. Just because of that fact. Because we just figured, well, it's on their soul, not ours, right? But there's things you can do to protect yourself to where you don't have to make those big life or spiritual decisions in the moment. Ideally, you don't want to have to make any of those decisions and everybody does what they said they're going to do and life goes on hunky-dory. But unfortunately, that's not the world we live in. So you have to use your own judgment there.
Tobacco Maker said, I did work a long time ago in carpet cleaning, and one time we got a bad vibe off of a customer So he had taken the check in immediately at their bank and cashed it, and then they called his boss an hour later, upset that they had done that because they had tried to put a stop payment to it.
Yep. You cash it on their bank. They can't stop payment things that have a check that's already left the cashier's drawer at their bank.
Yep.
When you cash it at your own bank, there can be up to a 7-day period before it transfers from the other person. They'll give you the money at your own bank instantly, but they won't get the money from the other financial institution until a few days later. And if there's a discrepancy because they said, oh, stop payment, you're going to be thinking, hey, I'm going to go buy my groceries now. And you're going to come up to that checkout counter and realize that you ain't got no money because the bank adjusted your account accordingly. So we've been done that way before, and it's really a rude thing to do. So if you receive a check, especially for a large job, always cash it on the customer's bank. I don't care if you got to drive an hour to get to their bank. You cash it on their bank. We can go to the anvil, Jess.
All right.
All right. Now I'm going to split in the bird's mouth. While I'm cutting, I want to be aiming to center. I don't want this cut to get off in any way. Let's see what we got here. That's looking about right. I'm going to grab my wedge here. Bottom that out. I'm going to go ahead and forge that down just a bit more. I'm going to cut that in just a little deeper. Can they see that all right?
Uh-huh, yep.
So I'm going to take one more heat on this and cut this down a little bit deeper. Now, this is a good point to point out. If you are doing a splitting operation in wrought iron, it is not like mild steel. This is all the grain is oriented in this direction. Not like this. It's oriented in this direction. If I continue to split this cold, it will split like cordwood. So you don't want to do that. We just want to split this while it's hot. Once it's cooled down, you're going to run a fracture right up through the piece. It's going to split like a lunk of wood. Okay, so you don't want to do that. Think of wrought iron as working with wood, and that'll keep you safe from making stupid mistakes.
The Baca maker likes that tip. He said he doesn't think he's seen you do that before.
He hasn't seen me do this before?
Yeah, that trick.
Yeah, the splitting? Mm-hmm. I've done it in other videos, long while ago though. It's probably on a 9-hour live stream or something like that. We used to do some pretty long ones. They were 3 and 4 hours long. Not anymore. Roy is fat and lazy. I think I'm just getting older. That's the thing. It's like, I'm not going to do a 14-hour live stream. Although Alex Steele made that look fun. If anybody hadn't seen his live stream, he did like 15 hours, I think it was. So live streaming, that could be pretty fun. Especially if people were buying my blinks or things I was making out of the forge for the prices they were buying Alex Steele stuff. I mean, woo-wee. Yeah, I could probably, yeah. I could, you know, I could suffer through it. I could suffer through it.
let's see here. It's been a little while since we've given anything away. I'm gonna just pick a couple of random names for stickers real quick, just from our
Okay, would you like me to go get those sticker packs real quick?
Sure. Yeah, if you want to grab that.
You're gonna pick some random names. Jessica said, Roy, you haven't given enough stuff away. What time is it, by the way?
6:39.
Wow, time has flown tonight.
It has flown.
Wow, okay. Let me go grab them sticker packs. You can go ahead and draw some names, babe.
Okay. Let's see here. Our first one is James Rowe, who's talking about his PSI for his shop forge. So James Rowe, you won some stickers. All right, let's see here. Let's also go with let's see, Caleb Money Wealth Stickers. You are next, Caleb. All right, I drew 2 so far.
How many?
2.
Right on. Hopefully they win.
The third one, Michael O'Brien, Loving the Info.
Awesome. Glad you're loving the info.
All right, so the 3 of you that won stickers, that's James Rowe, Caleb Money Wealth, and Michael O'Brien.
All right, we might as well show them what they won, right?
Yeah.
See, I don't think it's the same without the anvil ringing.
Oh.
Because, see, that really gets people's attention.
It does get people's attention, but also it's good encouragement for them to continue commenting throughout the stream, not just at the giveaways.
So anyways, go to camera 2.
Yep, we're there.
So this is the coveted Year of the Swage block sticker. Little graphic drawn by my daughter, my oldest daughter. Chrysler Ironworks sticker, obviously, and a couple different types of Chrysler Ironworks stickers. That's what you'll be receiving in your sticker pack. So congratulations to those winners who made that. And I will try not to disappoint my lovely wife. And let's give away something more, huh?
Give something else away, sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's already, it's about that time, ain't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's about that time we give away something big.
Something big? Something real big?
What do you think? Something real big?
Mm-hmm.
Something
Squarish?
Something just a little bit on the fat and the saddle side of things? We are on the main cam, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay, I'm just making sure. Huh?
Just making sure, huh?
Yeah. Jessica goes to camera 3 when I say fat in the saddle. It's pointed at my rear end. Like, no, you're not giving me away, Jess.
No,
that's not how these things work. Really what it is, I'm stalling for time because this hammer takes so long to heat. So I'm
yes, if you've won one of the smaller prizes, you're still eligible to win the Swage block.
Yep. All right. Something big.
Iron Room Forge, thank you for the $50 super chat.
Hey, hey, thank you.
Where?
Man, that goes a long way. You won't even know it. It really does. Goes a long way to helping our channel. Thank you so much.
They ask, where is a good place to source wrought iron? And thank you for the live stream.
A great place to source wrought iron is going to usually be, unfortunately, it's such a rarity now. They're very expensive. You can get it online. There's a place that's re-rolling wrought iron. They got a whole bunch of iron and they rebuild it up and roll it out into new bars and shapes and sizes. But that's really expensive, like $6, $7 a pound expensive. So, or a linear foot, I should say, expensive. So you may want to, you can check that out. The best way to source some wrought iron is just keep your eye out on auctions, estate sales, and don't go there to buy all the other junk that people are there to buy, like the tools and the farm machinery and the stuff like that. Be there looking for the scrap material. Because a lot of the wrought iron that you can find nowadays is old wagon reels, farm implements, things like that, that was made from wrought iron and has just been sitting and collecting weeds and God knows what in a field row for the last 45, 50 years, right? So that's your best option to source it. I sourced my
Tailgate
wrought iron
sales,
at
too.
Hammer Meats, huh?
Yeah, tailgate
At Sofa, Southern Ohio Forge and Anvil. I sourced it there at their Quad State Roundup from one individual who brought a bunch. So that's where I bought all mine from. And then occasionally, if you just put the feelers out there, your local community that, hey, I'm looking for scrap iron, I'm a blacksmith, right? Take what you got. Again, beggars can't be choosers in that situation. 10 to 1 odds, you might come across a piece of it. And test everything you get. Test everything you get. I don't care if it's some small little odd object that you think, oh, I'll never use that for anything, let me chuck it. It might be made of wrought. You can mash it down and reforge it out into a bar and, actually use it to quite an advantage. So before we go on to our next giveaway, this thing's hot, so let me go ahead and throw that back in and I'll split this a little bit more.
Okie dokie.
Okay. I'll try to do it more towards the camera. That way everybody can see what I'm doing. All right. You got to be careful that you don't do that too much. This can go very quickly. As you can see, it's already gone really quick. Grab this thing. There you go. You want about 2/3 or more of the bit in the actual cut. You want about 2/3 of the bit in there. That's already locked in, but I want to get that back out because I need to clean it.
Tobacco-free catfish says, how do you test for wrought iron?
There are a ton of methods out there. There we go. That thing is ready. Let me get this real quick and show off the camera. This thing is now ready to put the bit in. So I'm going to get this hot again. Fairly hot, yellowish temperature. I'm going to drive the bit in after I brush it a couple times and close the mouth down on it. Once I do that, I can stick the whole thing back in the fire and bring it up to a welding heat. And then hopefully weld this bit in this evening. So there's several tests you can do. One of my favorite tests is just do a scratch test on it. If you can take a sharp awl, like an awl, or just a really sharp center punch, if you will, scribe, and if you can pull on the surface of the material, like just put it in your hand and just work it like this, and if it peels up a little curly cue of material, a lot of time, and fairly easy to do, that's going to be wrought iron. It's fairly soft. The other way is you nick and bend. You nick it, the bar, and you bend it, and what it'll do is instead of in mild steel, it'll just fracture right off. It'll snap right off. In wrought iron, it will literally crack like wood, and it'll show fibers in the structure of it. So it'll still hold together, in other words, but it'll look fibrous. It'll look like one side was pulling material out of the other side. That's wrought iron. Those are the two simplest methods to check, generally speaking.
Robert Lannis, thank you for the $5 super chat. He says, hammer is looking good.
Thank you, Robert. Greatly appreciate that, brother. I appreciate everybody who became a channel member this evening as well. Thank you guys so much for that. It's awesome to have you. All right, so now on this piece, we're going to stick this bit in the fire as well, just off the side to just start getting a little temperature in it. We don't want it to just be dead cold when we stick it in the the wrought iron. We want it to be a red color.
Heath Miller sent a super sticker of a popcorn.
Of a what?
Popcorn.
Popcorn? Well, I'll take it. Thank you, Heath Miller. Greatly appreciate it, brother. All right. What was the other question? Oh, we were going to give something away, weren't we?
Yes, we were.
We should do that, huh?
They've been busy chatting, coming up with all kinds of little things to say about Swage blocks.
Oh, have they?
Swedge anyone?
See, they probably thought we were forgetting about them, huh?
Swedgeroni?
Swedgeronis?
Swedgeroo, swedge, swedge?
Swedgeroos, swedge.
Sassy the Swedge block?
All right, well, while we're waiting on that to come to heat for us to do what we need to do, let's go ahead and give away a Swedge block, shall we?
Let's.
All right. So we are going to be giving away this Holland Anvil Swedge block. This makes Swedge block number 5?
4.
4?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is it number 4?
April's the 4th month.
That is, all right, number 4. So we will be continuing to give away Swedge blocks once a month, every month, throughout the whole duration of 2021. And real quick, I don't like to give stuff away until I acknowledge who makes that possible. One really big contributor that has been making that possible is Holland Anvil themselves. If you haven't known about Holland Anvil, the company, you need to go check them out. Their business practices align a lot with our own, and they have a heart for helping out people get into the craft of blacksmithing. So can't say enough about them. They don't sponsor this content. I'm not getting paid to say nice things, but they did give us a price break on the Swedge blocks so we could add those to our arsenal of giveaway items this year. And then, of course, the most overwhelming, biggest portion of this whole show that you see that we put on every Friday night is absolutely 1,010% contributed by you all out there, the viewers, the people that are super chatting, the people that are adding their names to the membership wall, the people who buy blanks. Whichever way someone chooses is a handy way of supporting us here at Christ Center Ironworks. That is what funds these. That's what pays for the shipping. That's what pays for all the shipping and handling and the fees and whatever. So beginners can get tools and things like that into their hands absolutely free of charge when we do these giveaways. So give them a big round of applause if you can in the comment section, and let's go ahead and draw for this block.
Yes, one more quick reminder, you do have to be in the United States or Puerto Rico to win. That is where the shipping area is eligible for this Swedge block, and if you are under 18 and you happen to win, your parent or guardian does have to claim it for you.
Yep, definitely. So, all right, we ready?
Yes, we are.
All that jazz out of the way? Let's do this. This is going to get exciting. Who do we have, Jessica? Who do we have?
Philip Urban with Swedge Time.
Woohoo! Philip Irvin. Congratulations. You are the winner, fine sir. That's Philip Irvin, correct?
Correct. That is correct.
You are the winner of that Swedge block this month.
Yep.
Wonder who it'll be next month, huh?
Yeah. Could be you.
It could be. Well, it won't be me. But
Not you. I was looking at the camera when I said that.
Huh?
Said I was looking at the camera when I said that.
Oh, you're looking at the camera when you said that, huh?
I was.
I see. Oh. All right. This is hot. I'm going to bring it out. And we're going to go ahead and get this set up for, find the right tongs here. We're going to go ahead and get this bit installed here and get it set up for welding.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to set that up. Then I've got to get my other pair of tongs. Grab this little hammer bit out. Okay. Hold it about right here. We'll let that cool down just a fuzz. Oh, dropped it. Ah.
No. Run away, Wedgie.
Run. Oh, no.
Tobacco maker started it earlier.
Somebody get on to Jessica about that. Miss Runaway Wedgie. Whoa, Jess. Whoa, now.
Blame tobacco maker.
All right, if I'm lucky, You can pull this out. While this is still cooling down, you can hold that bit in there. We don't want to go too crazy with that. That bit's set now. And this is one of the rare few times that you'll actually see me break out the flux. And what I'm trying to do with the flux is I'm trying to get it to run down into the joint. Because I want to get it down. I want to get it down into the base of this joint. Because I'm not possibly going to be able to get the scale out of there. So it's important to put the flux on just in the areas that you need it and nowhere else. It's not helping you anywhere else. Get those out of the way and put this thing back in the fire to bring up to a forge welding heat. So you can see I dropped a little right there. That should help run to the bottom of this joint when I put the heat back to it. And I put some at the top here to help melt down through the sides. So that should help pull all of that in where it needs to be.
Robert Lannis, what the flux?
What the flux?
I know, you guys. Roy's using flux. Crazy, isn't it? Lux time, metal blueberries. John Doby says, what do you think about Iron Mountain flux?
I don't think much of it because I've never used it. Oh, I'm a huge skeptic when it comes to magic sauce type items. When it comes to like, oh, all you got to do is sprinkle this on and you'll make every weld. Because I actually know what is involved in the welding process. And so therefore, the rest of it's a gimmick from there on out. To make a good weld, you need to have the proper heat that is obtained by the proper amount of airflow, and preferably have an oxygen neutral environment. That's what you're looking for. If you have an oxygen neutral environment, you've got your heat correct. It is up at the correct heat where welding can actually take place. And then you are quick enough to strike while the iron's hot. You will make a weld each and every time. There is no secret sauce to it. There is no magic. You can use borax. You can use anhydrous borax. You could use easy weld. You can use Iron Mountain flux. You can use whatever you want on it. You can use no flux at all, and you will obtain a weld. You can use sand, and you can obtain a weld. It all depends on the type of joint you're doing and what is required for that joint. Just like regular welding, there's no special magic, welding wire that does everything. And all you got to do is just put on this one reel of welding wire or this one stick electrode, and that right there will do everything from brass to bronze to copper to you name it. It could do stainless steel even. No, it doesn't work that way. You use the proper materials, the proper heat, the proper settings, the proper speed, and you get a nice weld. You don't use any of those things, and guess what? You don't get a nice weld. So in general, that's kind of my thoughts on some of those. I've seen kind of the advertising. I've heard a lot of people just swear by it, like, oh, this is just the greatest thing since, sliced bread. Maybe it is. Maybe it works better. I'm more full aware of what a good weld is and how to achieve one even without flux. So, like for this particular instance, welding wrought iron to wrought iron, you don't have to flux it. Welding wrought iron to itself, but in such a way where you might have a big risk of having scale in between the joints, you need to flux it. If you're welding wrought iron to high carbon steel, those are two dissimilar materials. They don't necessarily like to bond. Using a little bit of flux can help get that a little bit of a cleaner joint and start to weld. Again, in this situation, it's a bird's mouth. So it's got a V down here. I cannot possibly, with hammer blows, push out the scale that's in that V. So I have got to come up with a different way of pushing out the scale. I use the capillary action and the cleaning action of that flux to remove the scale versus hammer blows.
And what type of flux is that? Borax?
That's anhydrous borax, I believe. It's like a commercial grade of borax. Yeah, not 20 mule team.
Heath Miller sent a super sticker of a salt shaker, or flux shaker, I suppose.
Oh, Lord. Oh.
Mitchell Edwards, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says, thanks for the great videos.
Very welcome. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for being a viewer.
Matthew Barrick says, why not put the flux in before the wedge?
Again, it doesn't help. Flux, knowing how flux works, flux flows into a joint through capillary action. So at heat, it will run and wet out the surface between the two joints. And as it does that, it pulls the scale and it runs it to the outside of the material, leaving a clean bond in between. If you put flux in beforehand, you haven't done anything. It still needs a way, it needs a place to come from and go to for the capillary action to work. So dunking this whole hammerhead in a big bucket of flux and stirring it around, right? You're going to get impurity, you're going to get inclusions and stuff in your weld. That's just not how you have to do it. It's a waste of it's a waste of flux, and it's just not how flux works. So it's just not. You see guys do it all the time. They feel more comfortable. Oftentimes you'll see even, really talented smiths who aren't comfortable with forge welding. That's a good way of testing whether someone's comfortable with their abilities at forge welding or not. They will dump a half gallon of flux on the piece to be welded, just simply because they're nervous that the weld won't take. Now watch, my weld fell on camera.
Jeff Woodring asked if your blower's running at full force now.
Right now it is, yeah, because I'm trying to push up through junk that I got on the bottom, but I know we're running out of time for this evening, so I'm trying to get that up. You might want to give some reminders, Jess. Type up some reminders there of who won tonight.
Sure.
In the stream, and that they need to claim their prize.
I could do that.
Oh. Usually Jessica will get in contact you with inside of a week about your prize. She'll do an email. If you have an email, if you've contacted us and we've received something from you, you will get a reply. If you don't get a reply, it's your due diligence to make sure that your email went through. We just had that just recently where someone had won and hadn't contacted us, and I made mention of it in the last live stream that we're just going to give the item away again, and then they finally found out that it never sent their email. So hate to do that, but it's unfair to other people. And then there's one person that never heard no hide, no hair from them. Might have been a similar deal, but what it does is it deprives other people of winning the item. So we don't like to do that. So I'm getting closer to welding heat, so I'm reducing the airflow. And also, I have to remember, I basically at this point, I have one half, another half, and a center piece. I have 3 separate pieces that need to be heated. They're not acting in unison as of yet. So you have to keep rotating this around in the fire and being very careful on this. Ideally, I would do this not on camera and not for YouTube. So this way I could give it 1,000% focus when you're doing welding. If you're going to do a bunch of forge welding, it's best to tell people to get out of your shop or don't come by right now, or don't do it in a demonstration format if you can help it. Obviously, if you're demonstrating welding, then that's a necessity, but usually welding requires a lot of focus to get the heat and all the all the right areas and everything to come up right.
Jeff Woodring says the blower you recommended in your video really works well in my recently completed coal forge. I appreciate your teachings regarding forge atmosphere. All of that has really helped me.
Very welcome. I am so glad that that's helped you out. So when I come out with this piece, not going to monkey around. I'm going to come out with the tongs. I'm going to beat the bit down into it using the face of the anvil and just the weight of the billet to beat that wedge in tight so I smush out any air gaps and any scale that's in the bottom of that V. And then I'm going to lay it flat and I'm going to drive down the lips of the weld. And that is the way that you set a bird's mouth weld. You don't want to trap, you don't want to set the lips of the bird mouth or the beaks or whatever you want. You don't want to set the lips of the weld before you set the core of the weld down at the very end, the very bottom portion of the wedge. You want to have that totally set first.
Sid Stone, welcome.
I'm so close here. Questions, Jess? Keep comments or whatever. I am
yes.
almost there though.
Speargrass says the focus is palatable. Palatable. Again, there.
Palatable.
Palatable. Mm-hmm. Gordon Farmer says he's going to pass out seeing you use flux. Carl Johnson, welcome. Glad you made it. Sable Wolf, we already gave away the Swage block. The winner was Philip Urban. But we still do have a few other door prizes to give away. Augie, yes, concentration power. Palpable. Is that the pronunciation?
Lost it.
Oh no.
Lost the bit.
Oh.
Well, dag nab.
So, I mean,
Let me see if I can find it here. Jeez.
Went down in the bay.
I hate doing that.
A lot of glowing coke.
Let me shut that off for a second. See if I can find it. It's not burned up. So it's got to be somewhere here in my coke pile. It'll probably be super hot and scalding. There she is. Yeehaw! That was at a welding heat. Found it.
You got her.
It's not burnt, but
That's good.
it sure ain't happy right now. Super hot.
Great as wonk wonk wonk.
That can happen if you're rolling it too much, like I was. Adjusting it too much in the fire. These things can happen. It's not a big deal. Just clean it up and let this thing air cool a bit. Let me get this big clinker out of the way. That'll help with the weld next time.
Me Lord says my heart is racing and I'm just sitting in a chair. Insanity Forge, dang glue didn't stick.
Yeah, the glue didn't stick.
Mitchell Edwards, more flux. Metal blueberries, the wedgie has been recovered.
No. Gosh, you all are something.
They are highly concerned for you.
Are they?
They are.
I don't know why.
Leroy Barker says, too bad, Roy. Shows you are a real person.
Say what?
Says, too bad, Roy. Shows you are a real person.
Real person.
You're not a robot.
No, I'm most definitely a robot, but I am most definitely a robot. I don't know what you're talking about there, friend. Another thing I'm doing right now that I'm trying to do just because I'm lazy, and I was trying to rush to get this much done in this stream this evening, is I was trying to do this without putting barbs, without cutting barbs on the actual piece, the bit that's being held in. So to do a barbless one. If I were to cut barbs, it would have less of a tendency to want to walk back out. And that might be the proper thing to do. I was trying to save time for sake of, the video here, the live stream, but that's always what happens when you're trying to save time.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yep. Steve Nolan says, what do you do with clinkers?
Line the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're gonna have to wait for that to come back up. I don't know if that'll be back up in time for us to do this again, but
All right, we still got a few more giveaway items.
for the live stream anyhow.
Well, yeah. Speargrass says that was a huge clinker. Yeah, the thing was like this big.
We'll let that run for a minute and try to come back up to full temp. If it does, we'll move along.
Texas Taterbug says, hey, thanks for talking about barbs. You saved me asking if that would have helped.
The what?
If barbs would have helped, you answered that question.
Yeah.
What about tack welding it also?
Yep, tack welding it, modern. That's okay. Give it a couple quick tacks and that way it don't go anywhere. That's perfectly fine as long as those tacks will no longer be visible. And I do mean tack. Some people have a habit of like really putting a bead on it and that'll change. You'll see that little weld when you etch it or whenever you finish it out, you'll see that dissimilar metal show up in the final result. I am not a fan of that. So if you're going to tack weld it, make sure those welds are gone in the finished piece. Well, I guess you don't have to. You do your work however you want to do your work, but for me, it's ugly if that's still there.
Insanity Forge says, do the robot, Roy.
Do the what?
Do the robot.
There. That's all you get. Short robot
Yamez,
action.
did you get it?
Huh?
I said, Yamez, did you get it? He likes to screen capture stuff.
He'll roll back and get it later.
Oh, yeah, true.
Because that's the way, video works.
Yeah.
He'll wait until after the stream and go back and grab all those things, send them away. All right, giveaways. Let's do some giveaways.
Sure.
While we wait on that to come back up the heat. I was almost there. I mean, it was at a welding heat. If that bit would have been in there, we would have been able to get it welded, but.
Yeah.
Teary-eyed face.
So sad.
Cry, so sad.
So very
All right,
sad.
what do you want to give away now, Jess?
See, I believe we have a rose blink still.
Yep,
Want to do that next?
let's do that.
Okay.
All right, camera number 2.
Yep.
We're going to give away one of these rose blanks here that we sell over our website, blacksmithpdfs.com. You can go purchase one there if you don't win this one here. And we're going to ring the anvil, and once it stops, whoever name this lands on for Jessica wins it. Ready?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Steady? Go.
Ready, steady, go.
Who do we have?
We have Brent Hoffman with Roses Are Red.
Brent Hoffman, congratulations. You won the Rose Blank set there, sir. You can get with us through that contact email down in the description. We'll get that shipped out to you pronto.
So what do we have next? A Daisy?
What's that?
Daisy?
We're going to do the iris.
The Iris, okay.
Then the trillium next.
All right.
You ready?
Yep.
Now we're going to give away the Iris Blank set. And once I'm done ringing the anvil, we're going to give it away to whoever wins it.
Mm-hmm.
I know, that's a double. My words, they're slurring together.
It's a little bit repetitive.
A little bit repetitive. But hey, it's Roy from Christ Center Ironworks. Of course it's going to be repetitive. We ready?
Yes, we are.
Who do we have, Jess?
We have Harold Hoshkison with Giveaway Iris.
Hey, Harold Hodgkin, longtime member. Congratulations, sir. You won our Iris Blank set. Get with us through contact email in the description, and we'll get it shipped out to you, brother. And remember, all these blanks you can buy at our website, www.blacksmithpdfs.com. Buy now.
Oh, that's like strobing. Oh, hopefully nobody's epileptic. Warning.
A couple people are rolling around foaming at the mouth right now. Because of that, I apologize. All right, we ready? So
Yes,
this
we
is
are.
our trillium blank. We'll go ahead and do that now. Who do we have?
We have Neil Graham, Iron Mushroom Forge, who says flower power.
Flower Power, Neil Graham. Congratulations, sir. You won the trillium blank. You know what to do. Oh, let's see here. Let's go ahead and give away a daisy, shall we?
A daisy. Yes, let's do a daisy.
Let's do that. We're going out with a bang, ain't we?
We are. It's like fireworks, you know, at the end.
All right, so here we go. Daisy blank. We're going to be giving away one of these now. All you got to do is comment down below with something with Daisy in the title.
Daisy.
Should I do that again?
Daisy. That time was faster.
Huh?
Sound effects, way to go.
Sound effects? They like
Yep.
that? But they hate that, don't they?
The Roy sound effects, those get thrown in for free.
Yes. Who do we have?
We have a Rick Kirby with Oh Daisy.
Oh, Daisy. Oh, Daisy. Mr. Rick Kirby there, congratulations. You won the Daisy blank set there. Thank you to all the super chatters. Thank you to everybody who's been keeping these streams going for so long, really allowing us, really helping us to be able to do this type stuff. We couldn't do it without you, and we are so thankful. So thankful to have you all.
Speaking of that, thank you Justin Ray for the $5 super chat. He says, oh, finally off work. Here's my late tax. Smiley face. Glad you made it, Justin Ray.
Thank you, Justin Ray. Greatly appreciate that, brother. Let that get nice and hot.
Dave Brock says, wow, an item that is made just down the road from my house in Holland, Michigan, USA.
Heck yeah. Can't beat it.
We still have, if I'm not mistaken, the Kirdashi. Is that the very
Yes,
last
we
item?
do.
Okay.
Yes, we do. We put that in for another heat. I'm going to try to get it to welding heat and get a weld on it,
Okay.
since we're already standing here and whatnot.
Might as well. Got the fire
Yep.
up and going.
See? Remember what I said about starting big? That way if you need to cut something off and redo, this is why. Always better to forge from thick to thin than to
Yep.
try to go the other way around. So, all right, we ready to go to camera number 2?
Sure thing.
All right, this little beauty, little number, was provided to us by Wiley Rook Blade Works. It's a little Kirdashi. Right
Yes.
there with a bottle opener. I'm calling it a fancy can opener. Fancy can opener. That's what I'm going to call it.
That's what you're going to call it. You do have to be over 18 for this one, and you have to send a ID, picture
Yep.
ID, with your email.
And or legal guardianship.
Yes.
Take ownership of this said thing. And says it's all right for you to have it.
Proven
All right?
responsibility from this group?
I think half the guys in this group need parental responsibility. I don't know what you're talking about. Jessica's my parental responsibility. Oh. All right, we ready to draw for it?
Yes, we are.
Are we now? Mm-hmm. All right, here we go. Who do we have?
We have Insanity Forge with Kira Dashimi.
Hey, hey, Insanity Forge. Congratulations. You've been Kira-dashied. Kira-dashied. Get with us through the contact email in the description.
Like somebody else's comment. Kira's dashing.
Kira is dashing.
Yep.
She's a dashing young lady. Kira is.
Dana thinks he's over 18.
What's that?
Said Dana thinks he's over 18.
Oh, he does, huh?
Yeah.
Well, while I wait for this heat to come up, I hope we haven't been neglecting any comments. Hopefully they've been coming in okay. We're good? Yeah?
Yes, we are. Gordon has a good one that might make a nice little mini rant.
Go ahead.
He says, what's your view on big blacksmith companies to little people like you and me and others like us? So big blacksmithing companies versus the little guy.
So what do I think about them? Congratulations. Like, I mean, there is it's a myth that basically persists generally when you are not at where you would like to be at. I'm trying to say this as diplomatically as possible because it's a touchy subject that could get me in a lot of trouble one way or the other just because I'm not the most elegant of speech here. If you are just getting started, there's this little thing that you have of like just this self-confidence issue in your own work, where you're at, what you're doing. You always see somebody else achieving great things, and then you look at your stuff that you're doing, and you're just kind of like, huh, man, well, why's my stuff not look like theirs? And what you usually attribute it to is the fact, well, they have money. Well, they have employees. Well, they have the best power equipment. Well, they have the nicest tools. And so that must be the reason why my ironwork isn't at the same level that they are. And somehow we make that leap in our mind that because they are at this level, they are somehow depriving us from being at this level. And that gets especially out there when you go to an event, say like a blacksmithing club event, and you see something that you're like, oh my gosh, I could just drool over that anvil. I wish I had enough money to afford that anvil. And one of them bigger companies that make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year come in and swoop it up, buy it up because they need a 15th anvil because they just hired another person on, right? And there's that feeling of being left out or feeling like you're lesser than and you're being held down or oppressed by their supposed greatness. And that's a myth. It's a flat out lie. That's not how it works. Everyone who is right now, and it goes more to a cultural thing as well. Everyone right now, and I'll get accused of preaching, Jess. It's going to be, just mark it down. I'm going to get some trolls accusing me of preaching now. This is just plain common sense. Our world today says if someone has something and you don't, then they are the problem. And that's just not the case. They have something because they've worked for that something. Simple as that. If they weren't interested enough to devote their life to that something, they wouldn't be where they're at now. They just wouldn't. There's a few outliers out there where people have gotten untold riches and untold wealth unfairly or unduly just by birth or whatever. But those are very few. That's not even a percent. Not even close to a 1/100% of the world's population out there. So the majority of people that you see where you would like to be someday, they've got there through blood, sweat, and tears, and they have started exactly where you're at now. So that should excite you. It shouldn't depress you. That should excite you that there is a road that you can take. You can travel and get to that same place if you care to put in the time and the efforts. I do not wish to do architectural ironwork, doing gigantic rail jobs and things like that. I hate repetitive forging. I absolutely loathe it. I can't stand it. To stand and beat out pickets all day, oh God, it kills my soul on the inside. It absolutely guts me as a smith. It really does. I just can't stand it. So I don't envy, and that's the key word there, envy, those big shops that are putting out, 5 gates a month and got 12 employees. You know why they got 12 employees? Because the guy at the top, he don't want to beat out pickets all day long. That's why they got 12 employees. He's got people to beat out the pickets for him for a dang good reason, right? So that's kind of my take on it, because I get this all the time, and it gets said a little bit in jest, a little bit in fun, but there is a little bit of that undertone about our channel. We have 73,000 subscribers. I give away a lot of things. People say, well, it must be nice to be making all that YouTube money. Yeah, real nice there. Real nice. I've given more on the platform and given away tools and given away free stuff when I had 1,000 subs. I am no different now than I was at 1,000 subs. I may be fatter, I may be older, but my intention is still the same. My intention is still to further the craft of blacksmithing. The difference is people get hung up on that number. They say, ooh, he's got 73,000 subs. He won't talk to the likes of me. And meanwhile, I'm thinking, why does people get so excited about me? I'm just Roy. I'm some dude in northern Michigan that has minimal impact on your life. Like if I were to die tomorrow, you would just click to the next channel and find someone else. I mean, I would hope there'd be a few people that might mourn my loss on the platform, but I don't think of myself as high and mighty, right? And so that's something to be real cautious of, is that word envy and being envious of someone else has something that I don't have, and so therefore they're oppressing me. They're not. They're doing their own thing. Hate to say it, it sounds snarky and rude, but they probably don't know you exist even. They don't even know that you're carrying those type of feelings for them. So it's a great topic for a rant for myself, because I do this too. I do. I look at channels like Alex Steele and I'm like, huh, God, the boy sells he does a live stream and man, it must be nice. He gets 40K in a live stream and super chats. But is it though? Is it nice? Do I want to be at his level and have people in my shop filming me and walking around every day? No. No, I don't. I like my headspace. I like it being quiet in here and it being all me. I like that, right? I like getting up when I want to get up and going to bed when I want to go to bed, and not having to be on some crazy, ridiculous schedule and meeting with TV people and other garbage like that. So I don't envy his life, really. It's just when I take a look at where I'm at now and my hope and goal of where I want to be, right? It's easy to try to find targets and say, well, that's why I'm not where I should be. It really is. And YouTube's the easiest platform to do that on. Really is in life. So when it comes down to big shops, when it comes down to the guy forging little nails in a shed that doesn't even have front doors out the backside of his house, and he's selling, you know, a couple hundred a weekend at a show, or maybe 10, and that makes him happy, round of applause. You're doing the art. You are doing the trade, the craft of blacksmithing, and that, I applaud you, good sir, or good madame. It's great. Don't get hung up on what other people are doing. Focus on your own journey of what you're doing, and you get along just fine. What's up? Was that a good rant, bad rant?
It was good.
Oh.
There's inquiring minds that wanted to know if the steel was going to burn.
No,
Coffee's forge is one of those.
I mean, it's right up there, but I could probably, it's like at a light heat right now. So on camera, I have to explain something. On camera, the camera picks up more light, more visible light on that spectrum than what you can see in your regular eyes. You can ask Thomas about this. That was one of the things he said when he came out here for the first time and was working with me. He was like, whoa. He's like, the flame's not as big as it looks like on camera. Right now, it looks like it's like, whoa. And it's not really. It's fairly short. It's not a, the camera just picks up way more light up here, visible light, than what you can actually see. So it's actually only like that tall. But the camera made it look like my hand's gone in the flame, hasn't it?
Yeah. No, it totally
but it's not
like
really
it.
there. It's just hovering over it. So.
Rick Kirby, thank you for the $5 super chat. He said, thanks for the daisy.
Very welcome. Thank you for the super chat.
Chase Shell says that was a neat mini Roy rant, LOL.
Yeah. Well, it opens up Pandora's box, you know. I mean, it does. It's a great question, because it's something that I've often struggled with. You know, being genuine, right, online. So how do you know that I'm not just taking your money and running with it, right? How do you really know that I'm getting the Swage block and I'm actually paying for it and those sort of things, right? Like, I struggle with that identity issue and kind of putting all that together, because for me, my reputation and my character matters more than this, all of this. It just does. It matters more. Jesus matters more to me and how I represent him than all of this. The cameras, the lights, the whatever, the Forging Friday Night live streams, your super chat donations, the membership wall, the whole bit. It means more to me than all of that. And so it's, how do I use this in such a way to where I don't come off as a scummy kind of guy just trying to sell tickets to, you know what I mean? Something like that's not my intention. You know, it's not my intention. And so that is always a very tough and hard balance. It's a hard balance and a hard thing to strike a line on, because there are so many charlatans out there. There are so many people that are just self-interested, and that's what they're doing things for. So, you know, I've said it before, if it ever gets to a point where I feel like my honor, so to speak, or like that the world view of me in total, and I mean not the little trolls out there, but I'm talking the world view as a whole, is that I am just another, you know, YouTube salesman up here, then I'll just stop. Like, I'll pull that plug, because it's not worth it. It's not worth it to me. I want the legacy that I leave out there is that I actually helped a lot of people, and that I benefited the blacksmithing community as a whole in a positive way. And if I'm not meeting that goal, I don't need to spend my life doing it. So this is at welding heat. Let's go to the anvil. Ready?
Hit while it's hot.
that's mostly welded. You guys can't see it, but I've got a teensy little gap. I'm going to get this hot to just protect it from the air. I have a super small little tiny pinhole gap where the bit wasn't fully seated in the mouth of the weld. So I'm going to have to sprinkle a little flux on that area and then just work that area. The next time I come out the fire, I'm going to focus on closing that little gap up. But the rest of it's welded. So there we go. So I'm going to pull this out, brush that area a little bit. It's just a little pinhole. Missed it. It's hot. I missed it. Go. There we go. All right, that sucked right down in there, so that's good. Put this back in the fire and bring her up to a welding.
Janet McComb says, preach it.
Preach it, huh?
Preach it.
Yeah.
Baka Maker says, Roy, we have the ocular proof that others get, and use your swedges.
The Dahuda man, how to, you got to talk up, Honey Bear. I'm sorry.
The Baka Maker says, Roy, we have the ocular proof that the others use, and get your swedges.
Good. I'm glad they got the proof of that. So, yeah, it's a difficult thing because a lot of times I'll get comments like that, and it bugs me. It really does. It's like, you know, maybe this whole thing has gotten a little too big. It makes me have second doubts. It's like, well, maybe I need to thin the herd, start a whole nother channel, and just start from scratch, just so that way I don't I don't appear too big for my britches. But then, you know, the more reasonable side of me comes in, and I have the fortunate ability being in a position where we're at, where we do have some exposure. We do have, you know, a little, I don't know, a little larger horn being blown before us that we can affect change in a positive way. We can help more, right? Because, you know, would a company like Holland Anvil, I don't know, I can't speak for them, I'm just using them as an example, would they do that with a channel that had 500 subs? Would they help you give away Swage blocks? Or how about one of their more pricier items? What about one of their really fancy anvils?
Probably
would they work?
chance.
Because ultimately they're a business. They have to make money. It has to make sense, right? It has to make sense to them. As much as a heart they may have, it still needs to make sense, financial sense to them. They got to have exposure, right? So ultimately, the answer is probably no. Again, I can't speak for Holland Anvil, okay, directly, but in general, no. You think Ang Yang is going to, you know, do you think Ang Yang is going to partner with somebody who has 20 subs? Or do you think they're going to partner with Alex Steele? They're going to partner with Alex Steele. You think they're going to partner with this bozo? No. No. I got 75,000 subs. They probably don't need my exposure dollars, right, to try to take and get out there. So again, that's one of those points where the potential of reach that you may have is proportionate to what, you know, the size audience, I guess, you have, right? Mm-hmm. And so with that, what I'm trying to do with things is say, hey, let's use, however big this channel grows, we may just die, dead end. That's it. 73, that's all we get for the rest of our life on YouTube. Might be it. Might be. We might have 10 million subs someday. I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't see the future. But how do we take that and find ways of getting stuff into Smith's hands that otherwise wouldn't be able to make that connection, right? How do we do that? How can I use my situation here that I found myself blessed with for the betterment of the craft, right? The betterment of a beginner. Again, Ang Yang, if you're watching, I know James Johnson over there, Ang Yang, he follows me on Instagram. You know, one of those things, if you want to hook up and give away a power hammer someday, let's do it. we'll give it away. I mean, I can give it away. You'll have to pay for all the shipping and all that other stuff, but, you know, but still, even at that, even if I had to cover the shipping or the freight costs to give away a power hammer, I could do that. I don't even have an Yang power hammer in my shop, and I would give one away. I would. I'd give one away if I could partner with something like that. And so, you know, I think however history will remember me, I hope those are my intentions that get remembered the most, is that, you know, it was my best intention to try to take and help out, you know, the people that are doing that. And that's why I've been trying to partner with people like Holland Anvil, right? That's why I've partnered before with like RX Tongs. You know, I'm thinking about trying to maybe contact at some point Ken's Custom Iron, see if he wants to do something with some of his tools. It gets him a shout out for his business. I don't receive any money for any of it, but I get to get tools in beginning smith's hands, which is awesome. I'm just that connection point, the hub, the nougat, the nougaty part.
Nougaty center.
How do we do that? How do we do that bigger and at scale? That's what I want to know.
Mace Man says, OMG, an Ang Yang giveaway would be amazing.
Yeah, there would be a lot of people. One-time people in that live stream, I imagine. One-time subscribers in that live stream. That's also why I don't tell people, in order for like to win anything, that you have to subscribe. Because I don't want you to subscribe to the channel if you don't like me. I don't want you around. If you don't want to be part of the community, you don't want to be part of what we're doing here, you don't have to be. I don't want you here. Like, you're welcome to stay, you're welcome to watch, you're welcome to win. That's fine. You don't have to be subscribed to win. Because ultimately what happens, somebody subscribes to get entered into a giveaway, and then they unsubscribe right afterwards. If they don't win, you know, it's comical. Every live stream, isn't it, honey? You watch the numbers.
Yep,
they'll spike 20 to 30 subs. And then all of a sudden, right like immediately after, kaboom, they will plummet.
Yep.
The sub amount will completely plummet to the bottom of the bay. Won't they?
We're about 182, and then about 5 minutes later, like 151.
What's that?
180 to 150.
Yeah, oh, I'm not just talking about that. I'm talking about actual subscribers gained for the live stream. We might get like 30 new subs. Because I mentioned something about, well, you might want to subscribe and have the bell for notifications. Otherwise, you won't know when we're doing these sort of things if you're new here. But I never say you have to be subscribed to win anything. You just won't know when we're going live if you're not subscribed. That's just how that works. So yeah, so you know, I do stuff like that, and again, you'll see a big uptick in subscribers, and then bam, it'll come shooting right back down because the people, they subscribe just long enough to, this guy's not, I really don't really like him, or whatever. I came for the Swage block and I didn't win, or whatever, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm looking for the dedicated people who are finding value in the teaching, and that helps sort them out for the next live stream when the people that do stick around actually have a chance at winning the things. So I like that. What's up? I'm on a full rant mode tonight. I need to quit.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a Roy rant. The Baka Maker, you're only bitter on the outside. Inside you're creamy nougat.
Bitter on the outside. Let's go to the ammo.
Alrighty.
It's closed up. I should also mention it's not good to overwork this joint. Get it out, get it welded, return it to the fire. The cooler this thing gets and the more you work that joint, you're asking for it to come separated. You don't want to separate that. So you don't want that joint to separate. One more welding heat to finish, and we're done. Sound good?
Sounds good.
I was going to try to stick to a strict deadline, but the fire just finally got to where I like it after I rebuilt it.
Yeah.
I should have done that from the get-go. That's what happens when I'm trying to be, time conscious. I end up blowing right by that time conscious window.
That's all right. Uncle Buck's Forge, thank you for the $10 super chat. He says help towards shipping that Ang Yang.
God, I would love that. That's the problem with playing with other people's money or items. You got to convince them that that's a good idea. You're like, yeah, Ang Yang. Let's do a year of the Ang Yang. Huh? 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 Sound good? 12 power hammers, one a month. Given away by yours truly, funded by yours truly.
PJ says, I found your channel looking for advice and later found out you have live streams with giveaways. I kicked myself in the butt for not tuning in earlier.
Well, I'm glad to have you here, and I'm glad that you subbed for all the right reasons.
Dustin Everett says, started out looking for learning help and I'm just getting started out. I really enjoy your content.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Jacob Cotton says, Roy, is there a way that when you finish a project at the end, you could put how long it took to make?
Like in the videos?
That's what it sounds like, yeah.
Yeah, I could possibly do that if I remember to do it and I'm not lazy when I'm editing. So, that would be a good thing for definitely tutorials. Something when I'm doing a tutorial. It might have some good travel, even on the videos where they're like silent films that I've been doing here lately. Like that could do pretty well like that as well. There's a possibility of doing it there. Putting text how long a project took. Sometimes I don't know for certain, and I don't want to mislead either. So, but it's definitely worth checking into doing that.
Denny Judson says, Roy gave me the courage to do what I love. Our Heavenly Father said, now is the time.
Awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. Oh. Yeah, so, like a little FYI note, kind of a little field note here. One of my last recent videos, in fact, it didn't get a whole lot of views or traction on it, which kind of surprised me a little bit, but that's just the way the game goes sometimes. But I know that some people haven't been digging the silent content because I've just been working, and this is just me filming like fly on the wall type material because I just need to stay mentally focused with what I was doing, right? Because I'm on a deadline, I have a lot of stuff to do and, undertake and get done. And so some people haven't been liking that type content, but that's going to be the type of content for at least the next 60 days or so. I have a few little talking head things where I do some helpful tips type stuff, but I won't really get back into full tutorials for at least 2 or 3 weeks before there's any sort of actual videos on full tutorials, if I get to them. I do have some full tutorials in the bank, if you will, in the old video log that I want to do, that I need to film, but it's highly important right now because of me being a conference demonstrator at BAM that I had gotten this done. That needed to happen. That was very important. So I've gotten that done. There's also another thing on the horizon that I'm not at liberty to say just yet. You'll find out as we go on that. I just don't want to open my mouth and then find out something different. So it's kind of a big thing. It's kind of a big deal for me in my shop. So I'm just kind of waiting for that to transpire. That's going to transpire in May time frame, and then I have a class, and I think I have one in June too, don't I, hon?
Let me check here.
Something like that?
Yes, your class is May 22nd through 23rd. The next one is July 24th through 25th.
Okay, July, all right.
Yeah, so June we don't have any classes.
Yeah,
but-
so June's like my only like real free time. So all of May is basically booked. June is going to be kind of my only free time to do some tutorials, and I'm going to be really on the push to try to finish up some of these open client orders that I've had for over a year and a half. So in that amount of time. So if you want videos from me, you're just going to have to enjoy the fly on the wall perspective for right now. There's nothing I can do about that. Just mentally, it's too much to try to demonstrate. And if anybody's ever tried, like I know I make it look easy and it sounds like I've just run my mouth and it's just natural for me, but it is a lot of work to put together a concise tutorial that people won't absolutely hate on YouTube. So if I do a tutorial, it's an hour long and I'm rambling and I'm talking about whatever, this, that, and the other, I'll get 5,000 hate comments of people hating that I spent, too long on one particular subject, or I repeated myself 5 times or whatever, just because that's my cadence of voice. So to put together a nice short bit by bit tutorial, it takes a lot of mental focus on what to leave in, what to cut out. Like I only cut out the heat times usually on tutorials. And then it's direct. So those take a boatload of time to do. So you guys are just going to have to kind of bear with me, if you will, when it comes to those type videos.
Windy Hill Foundry says hello. Hi, Clark.
Hey there, Clark. Good to have you. Windy Hill Foundry, he's a cool channel. If you're into casting, you should go check him out. Really neat. He does like cast iron stuff. It's slick. He's got a whole operation. Way hotter work than what we do in the blacksmith shop. Way hotter.
Denny Judson says if you post in the title or description that it is a head-down focus work, fewer people will be disappointed. You kind of see that in the way we title our videos. If it's forging a acanthus leaf, that kind of implies that it's just Roy forging it versus
if it's a how-to
forge.
Yeah, it's that. So
that's how you can differentiate.
Yeah. And as far as the disappointment goes, you'd be amazed how many people are disappointed in my videos. But yet they have not one red cent into the videos. They don't have any time other than their butt cheek time glued to their, Cheeto Batman underwear that they're wearing and their leather sofa, right? Like that's, they have no time invested in it other than the scroll or the click on the video. I don't do clickbait garbage. If I do anything, I'll do an enticing thumbnail at some points because no one watches tutorials on acanthus leaves. But if I say, I almost burn it, people will watch. Don't know why. It's human nature. We all do it. If I'm like, I almost burnt this, then somebody will click on the video. They will. I don't like it. I hate it. I wish we were all better than that. But I guarantee you half of you have got me minimized on your phones and they're scrolling through other content currently right now. Caught you.
You've been caught. Quick, press the back button.
Right? So, the content with as large of a library as I've got, I'm still waiting for this thing to get there. I need to clean it again, but I don't want to take the time, so I'll pull that up a little bit. There we go. When you have as large of a content library as what we do, it's kind of irrelevant on the point, but I do like to keep up to date with our current subscribers and say, hey, this is what you can expect next. If it's not your bag, come back and check us out in a few months. Maybe it will be then. You're going to miss out on a lot of content. We do 3 videos a week. So you're going to miss out on a lot of things in that time that might have worked and might have helped you. But yeah, there's all types of videos on this channel. Kind of hard not to have a ton of videos when you have nearly 1,550 of them. So I have more videos. This is going to be a brag. Lord forgive me, I'm going to indulge in this brag for just a second. I have more playlists on our channel then the majority of blacksmithing channels on YouTube have videos. Let that sink in. There's more playlists. Playlists are multiple videos in a whole list format than what most other blacksmith channels have in total video count for the lifetime of their channels. So that's that's a huge mark. So when it's like, oh, why don't you do this? Well, why don't you do color grading? Or why don't you add music? Or why did you add music? Or why aren't you talking? Or why aren't you not talking? Or why do you talk? I hate when you talk. Like all those sort of stuff, I've heard it all before on 1,550 videos.
Yep, you have.
I've heard it many a time. Your concerns have been felt and have been well measured.
Jamie Geyer says he looks forward to having you out there. And also,
Awesome,
that
Jamie.
they'll be having their first participant from the state of California flying in for the bull vessel class.
Wow, that's awesome. I feel honored. I feel honored that somebody would come that far. Come see this hill jack do something. Oh. I'm going to have some fun with it. I don't know, maybe I should still leave it a surprise. I was going to teach a technique in the class, potentially. But we'll have to see. I'll get with Jamie later about it. But should I mention it?
No.
Mention it? No, I shouldn't mention it. Keep it secret?
Secrets.
Okay, I'll keep it a secret.
He can hardly keep Christmas presents
It's a really neat technique. It's a really neat technique. Oh, man, we were so there. We were almost there.
Uncle Buck says he was watching SpongeBob with your audio.
You're watching SpongeBob with my audio going.
It's quite amusing.
See, that's what I'm talking about, Uncle Buck. Be the change you want to see, right? That's how that goes.
Black Collar says none of your videos is a waste of my time, Roy and Jess.
Well, I used to take it pretty personally. I don't now. I just realized that that's how it is on YouTube. I used to take it personally that people would get to, why aren't people watching this video? I slaved over this thing. I put 3 hours of my time in this. You know how many whatevers I could have made in that amount of time and how much money I could have made in that amount of time? And it used to bug me. It down to my core it did. But now I just realize that people get to the video when they get to the video. I'm a tutorial and a teaching channel. So this live stream, I don't expect anybody to watch a 4-hour live stream once it's over with. I don't expect it out of anybody. If somebody wants to, that's awesome. If they find value in it, great, right? Like the same thing with a video. If I put out an hour-long tutorial and no one watches it, I will put an asterisk there. No one watches it, but 400 people, 5,000, I don't know, 100 people. Well, 100 people found benefit in it, and I'll go back and look at that video 4 or 5 years later, and it's got 50,000 views on it or something. Well, now 50,000 people decided it was worth their time to watch that video, and just because you don't see the instant gratification results up front doesn't mean people don't find value in it. So again, I appreciate every view and every subscriber, that I get. I appreciate each and every last one of you.
Denny Judson says, that is me, Denny, coming from California.
Woohoo! Well, thank you for coming all the way out here, all the way out to Ohio. Not all the way out here, this is Michigan. What am I talking about?
Yep.
Thank you for
Reorient.
coming. All right, I'm going to say this is probably hot enough to finish. It's like a lighter welding heat, but we're going to go for it. Anvil?
Yep.
Now I can hold it the right way, brush it the right way. Now, as you're working this piece of iron and high carbon steel and you're working these faces back in, you can actually pressurize it up and start splitting out the joint a little bit. And so you have to watch for that. If it does open up one of your welds a little bit, put a tiny bit of flux on that corner, and I mean tiny, emphasis tiny little bit of flux on that, and just keep mindful of it and re-weld it down once it comes out of the fire. As of right now though, everything looks good and welded and stuck. Quick professional tip from someone who's been doing forge welding for what feels like an eternity sometimes. It feels like a really long time in my life. Hopefully this will be a helpful tip for someone out there. Just because a weld does not take does not mean the piece is ruined. So just keep that in mind. Just because a weld did not take does not mean the piece is ruined. It means simply you need to bring it back up to temperature. You need to have a way of clearing that junk that might be preventing the weld. Bring it back up to temperature and re-weld it, and it'll weld. That's the great thing about forge welding. Or regular welding. If you create a stick weld and it's got porosity in it, you grind it out and put another bead down until you get it right and you don't have porosity. Same way with forge welding. If you create a weld and it doesn't take in one particular spot, all you gotta do is grind it out and re-weld it. It's pretty simple. So, from a professional or from a guy who's been welding for a very long time, just because your weld did not take the first time is no cause for alarm. It's not ruined. You can keep going. Try again. Oh, it's really easy to just say, okay, I give up then. That weld didn't take, I give up. It's over, right? But just continue. As you saw, what happened? The piece come out, right? Are we at the main cam?
No,
We can go back to the main cam.
All right.
The piece came out of the fire. Oh no, the bit fell out. What'd I do? I calmly, begrudgingly, because I wasn't happy that it came out, shut off the airflow, find the piece, get the piece out, analyze the piece. Is this piece burnt? If it's not burnt, but it was at a welding heat, but it wasn't burning, it wasn't sparkling, it hadn't burnt yet. Okay, bring it out, clean it, put it off the side of the fire. Bring your other piece, clean it, put it back in the fire, bring it up, reset the piece in, bring the whole piece up to welding heat, and welded it. And now we have a complete welded thing. It's really easy when you're first getting started to just say, this thing didn't weld, and you just throw it out of the way.
That was on an electrical cord.
Landed on an electrical cord. Roy's theatrics. We'll throw it there in a safe area.
Hey, that's your blower cord. You'll have to keep an
It's
eye
good
on
to go.
that.
It only melted a little. It's fine. So, right? Illustrates my point. You throw something across the shop, you say, it didn't work, this is horrible, I'm a failure, whatever. No, you're not. It just simply, you didn't get one of the steps or one of the processes needed for welding correct. Look back, analyze, see what it is that you need to do different, and then proceed. Proceed forward with what you are doing. You can do that. Don't get discouraged just because a weld didn't work the first time, 15th time, 20th time, 30th time, 400th time. Don't get discouraged that the weld did not take place like you thought it should have the first time. Okay? That's for you beginners out there. There we have it. That thing's welded in, so that's good. It's cooled down all at the same color temperature, so we know that that bit is welded in there. It's stuck in there good.
Good.
It's not going anywhere. Can they see that okay?
Uh-huh. Yeah, just kind of go back and forth and the light will flicker across it. There you go.
Okay. I can also try to...
Janet McComb, thank you for joining us as a Bellows boy.
Hey, thank you so much.
Or Bellows girl.
Bellows girl? We should add that tier.
Yeah.
A Bellows girl tier.
Jeff Woodring, take care.
There you go. Yep. We'll see you around, Jeff. Thanks for being around.
Dana, you too. Have a good evening.
I can't believe how many people put up with my rants this evening.
Yeah, I think we had just about 98 people.
What's that?
96 viewers currently.
Wow, that's a
Yeah.
lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
That still care to hear what I got to say, huh? That's insane.
For those of you who are just popping in and asking, who won the Swage block? Or is it still going to go? Philip Urban won the Swage block. And so if you missed out this time, you can join us in our, not the next live stream, but the one after that. We'll be giving away another Swage block.
Pull this off. Good to go.
Wayne Morey says all my forging extension cords have some plastic melted off.
Well, it's just the way it works, huh? Sometimes. Sometimes that's just the way it works. It just it's not a big deal. Some people would tend to freak about that, but it's not. The worst thing it's going to do is cut the power. It'll triple breaker and cut the power to the blower. Oh, that's why we live in modern times. They have breakers, have breaker boxes.
That's
For
right.
that reason, just in case something bad happened, it shuts it down for you. Oh man, I had a great time. I had a great time forge welding that all up. That's good. Been working on the shop this week, fixing a few things on it, getting prepared to fix other things like the siding and whatnot. So getting pretty excited about that once all my other commitments are completed.
Yep.
And so it's good to get back in the shop for a little while and get some progress made towards one of my clients' orders. Yeah. Which I don't know if I mentioned that. I mentioned it the last live that we worked on this. So, yeah. What else, Jess? Is that it? We're good? Yeah? Comment chat slowing down?
Trailed says problems make us appreciate when things go right.
Yes, they do. They're a great teacher.
Somebody said earlier they watched the saw blade bowl and you made it look easier than it was to forge one.
Yep. Oh, they're not too terrible. I mean, but then again, I've made a lot of bowls. I've made a lot of bowls, so my perspective's a little bit different. I can be like, oh, this is easy. You got this. And then if you haven't ever had to work with, bowl shapes or concaves or convex surfaces, yeah, I guess it could be quite tricky.
Especially if you're trying to bend the teeth different directions and trying to get them equal or even if it was that one.
Yeah. Yeah, those are little things that you take for granted. Once you have some experience under your belt, like the little things that are challenging to get started on. Like I remember, this is a little story time with Roy, and then we should probably let people go. I remember struggling with tapers. I remember when I started blacksmithing, my first teaching experience of blacksmithing, if I have any experience whatsoever of teaching, was a Randy McDaniel DVD that Jessica got for me. And she actually got it for me when I had the flu, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the flu. And so I laid in bed and watched this entire 2-hour DVD that he had put out on fundamentals and blacksmithing and things like that. And I think I watched that thing through 5, 6, 7 times, maybe, while having the flu. I don't remember. I was in and out. But, I watched it a lot, right? And I remember saying, as soon as I get healthy again, I'm going to go out in the shop and I'm going to give this a try. I'm going to do this. Yeah, this could be great, And I just remember struggling with making tapers, making clean tapers. Because in his video, he had, you know, how you wanted to forge like a 1-inch taper, and I just couldn't get it to save my life. I couldn't. I can forge a 1-inch taper without laying off anything or measuring anything. You want a 1-inch taper on a 1-inch bar, I can give it to you exact. And I do mean exact. With hand-eye, I don't have to do anything anymore. But that's one of those processes, fundamental processes, that after you work for a really long time in it, become second nature, right? They become a second nature thing. But when you're first getting started, man, it's such a hard thing to grasp. You know, I was standing wrong at the anvil. I was swinging too heavy of a hammer. I was gripping my hammer too tight. I was bent over like Quasimodo bent over like this, forging. I mean, I was all sorts of messed up trying to forge this taper, you know, standing at all sorts of weird angles, trying to hit on it and create these tapers. And like all these things now, I get a kick out of it because I see new guys doing it. And, you know, depending on what circle you are, they appreciate the help when you come along and say, get that elbow tucked in, turn to the corner, get it squared up with the anvil face, you know, hold the hammer loosely like this. And you take 5 minutes to help a new guy out with those little bits of instructions, and man, it makes a world of a difference. And all of a sudden, those tapers come out like that, you know, and you finally get it. But 90-degree bends and just everything, you know, blacksmithing has been one of the funnest things I think I have done in my life's journey so far. It's very rewarding. Outside of the most rewarding things in my life, besides my relationship with the Lord, my relationship with my wife and my kids, is blacksmithing. That's been one of my most rewarding ventures that I've been on. And I'm glad that there's so many of you out there that are, you know, joining us for that and joining in on the fun, you know. And I hope to see hundreds of thousands of more of you. Why not? Because blacksmithing sure is a lot of fun. And once you get past all that little tricky stuff like forging out tapers.
Families always have room to grow.
Yeah, families always have room to grow. And you always have, there's always room here at Christ Center Ironworks for you to grow into this blacksmithing family. So appreciate each and every last one of you. Really do mean that. And if Jessica don't have anything else, I'm going to stop being sappy. Before I make people cry.
Bar Run Forge says, big thanks to you, Roy and Jess. We love you and pray God's richest blessings on you and yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Troy. Greatly appreciate that. And same back to you and Eli and your families as well. Greatly appreciate y'all. So, all right. That's it. That's it for this little presentation. Hopefully by the next time you see me working on this hammer, we'll see where we're at. I should have the face material chopped off and ready to put on the other half of this whole deal, and we'll prep on that and get it welded up, and then it'll be punching a hole. Scary, sketchy. Well, I'm trying to debate on whether I want to go too far with it and actually show all the detail work too, but those are some really long sits and forging sessions, so probably won't go into the decoration, but you'll see this hammer again once I've got it done. You'll definitely see the final result of it as well if we get on to something else, some other forging project. So over time. But that's it. Thank you for everyone who donated to tonight's stream to help with the shipping costs. Couldn't do it without you. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for everyone who's a channel member now. God bless each last one of you. Really help out in a huge way. And thank you to everyone who's watched and just put in your seat time. Sitting here watching us, the eyeball time. That's what we'll call it, putting in the eyeball time. We greatly appreciate it. So that's it. God bless. Catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching. One last thing. Thank you, Rob Huff, and for the $5 super chat, and I can't wait to see you again too, brother, in a few weeks. Take care.